every time I do it, every time I'm sitting here and I'm like, I need to wait a few more minutes. I need to think about what I have prepared for the night. But I see people come in. I see the little eye icon on StreamYard, and I see people come through. And I know you're just passing through and seeing if anything's going on. And I would like for there to be something going on. So, welcome to the show tonight. Welcome to Rex X Gray Area 13. We've got a lot to get into. I want to do it's a real calm before the storm type of moment, and I think we all feel that right now in the country as it relates to the war in Iran. We're going to be covering that tonight. We're going to be covering RFK's latest antics. I mean, it's really sad what they're having him do, and kind of the tour he's having to go on. He had to go on Rogan, of course, to maintain his cool, popular image after it comes out that he's going to, suck the pesticide company's dick and not do anything about that problem with the glyphosate. So we're going to get into all that tonight. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the table. Really on the lookout for viewer questions, viewer commentary. Let me know what you think of what I'm covering here tonight. Let me know if you have any questions relating to the subject matter. We might go off on a tangent. No super chats here. So interact, repost the stream. Welcome to the show tonight. I want to go ahead and lead us off today with this Ron Paul clip. And, here's the thing. I hate on Tim Pool all the time. I can't stand him. Oh, man. Tim Pool, it's just something about Tim Pool grinds my gears, right? But he does get all the best interviews. How do I get an interview with Ron Paul? How do I do it? We're going to go ahead and watch this clip now. I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it as well.
There's been a coup. We don't have any resemblance to a government that believes in a republic. We don't have honest money. We don't have integrity. We don't even have people in Washington that even pretends, that you're supposed to tell the truth. But I do believe there has been a coup and it's been taken over. And if I want to just put the date in my mind. And anybody could pick probably any date in the last 100 years. But I have picked November 22nd, 1963.
What happened on that day?
That was the day Kennedy was murdered by our government.
Wow.
By the CIA.
Whoa, that's crazy. That's insane. Notice the non-answers. I mean, how censored do you have to be to have that mainstream appeal not get popped and get the Tenet Media deal and get the Netanyahu meeting and all of it? Man, I just can't stand Tim Pool, but phenomenal interview. Excellent point. I agree. I think there was at least some agency left in the country after World War II, aware of the Federal Reserve and all of that, and the OSS and the CIA, right? That's also a big problem. But until Kennedy got shot, no one had ever tried to buck that system, and they proved it couldn't have been bucked with him, right? Of course, you get LBJ after it with all of his weirdness. So great clip, great intro to the show. From the Nimrod pod, got to get into RFK's JRE appearance. I went on Joe Rogan because I covered up for the pesticide company that I won $270 million suing. We're going to get into it. He visited Austin. Nimrod Pod's also a local guy. So me and you, in the same city as, the Big Cheese, the RFK. And, went to the Salt Lick or went to Terra Black's or whatever barbecue place he went to. Very good. It's always nice. You dance around with Rogan. La, la, la. Happy time, happy time. I go eat barbecue. I'm an American just like you. I go to the gym. I do quarter reps on the leg press and 5,000 pounds on it. I'm just like you. And I mean, here's the thing. Here's what I don't like about it. Because there's a very simplistic thing where people look at RFK and they really like him. And I liked RFK at some point. I really did like him. My roommate, Jack, literally a Maha guy. And he got the sign, the t-shirt, everything, right? People are so desperate to try to hold on to the hope that they had in 2024. I'm not saying it's not a bad thing to have hope. I'm just saying, depends on the people that you're assigning that virtue to. Everyone wants to believe in these people, right? And, like my dad, for example, he'll criticize the administration and then he'll go, well, RFK and Tulsi Gabbard are really doing a good job. And I look at that, I listen to that, and I know the truth about what's going on in the administration, and I reject it, right? I mean, let's look at Gabbard for a second, not to get off the topic of RFK. She's the DNI. She's in charge of the intelligence. Really what the DNI's job is, the Director of National Intelligence. She is supposed to brief the president on the things that all the different intelligence agencies are doing. Now, of course, what is Trump doing? He doesn't take briefings from her. This is on record. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. He takes his briefings from Ratcliffe, the CIA director. And like, man, if you've seen some of the videos where they're having cabinet meetings and Trump is talking about sending more weapons to Ukraine and Ratcliffe's basically nutting in his pants, and then that guy's Trump's like right-hand man when it comes to how he deals with intelligence, really with how intelligence deals with him. Let's be honest. Really, that's how it works with all the presidents, right? So you've got Gabbard, and everyone's always like, she's looking into it. She's investigating. She's doing this, that, third thing. She's openly been against intervention in Iran. And now she's like, they have the weapons. So, I mean, it's the same thing with Kennedy saying, I'm against the glyphosate. They're poisoning us all, and I want to be president, or I want to work for the president so that we're able to save the children and take the poison out of the environment. And then he'll go on Rogan and be like, I wasn't happy with Trump's decision. I understand it for national security. And it's just like, wow, like these really are not our champions, are they? Because that's the thing. You don't elect the person because you're in love with them. Okay. You don't elect the person because they're your best friend or you look up to them or you see them as, I don't know, the alpha or whatever gay shit you're into. Okay. And it's fine to each their own, but there's a lot of that going on right now. No, no, you don't do that. You elect someone as a public servant to do the job of making the country better and working for Americans. They don't do that. They literally, they don't do that. I think about how simple some of these problems would be to fix. And it's like Owen was making the joke on a show today. I just make like 100 clones of him and just have him do the jobs. But seriously, if you just had normal people doing these jobs instead of like vampiric empty suits that are all sociopath, psychopath, narcissist, whatever you want to say, I think it would be very easy, right? Because here's the example I always give. They say, or anyone online, if I make these points, I'm like, hey, I want the glyphosate gone. Hey, maybe Trump should actually listen to his DNI instead of Ratcliffe. Hey, maybe Trump's controlled by a certain nation over in the Middle East. They will go, shut up. Don't you see all the good that's going on? Don't you see they're taking the dye out of the food? I'm like, well, actually, that's not true. They're creating an exemption. They're like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a panicking. And I'm like, I reject you completely. You are the same people that say all the changes that we want are far too expensive, but you're fine with them cutting the corporate tax rate. You're fine with the money going to Ukraine and Israel. Guess what? That's $1.2 trillion. And if you're saying that money's fine, we can spend that money all the time. A policy like Trump's wall originally in the first term, guess how much money that was? $5 billion. They said it didn't have the money for it. So at this point, the money is all fake. And if they wanted to actually do the job and pull the things and fix the country, all they would have to do is stop spending money on war. That's all they would have to do. You take half the defense budget, you put it into the civilian population, the country would blossom and bloom. And it's the point Owen made on his stream. They can bomb Iran, but they can't fix a bridge, right? So give me 1 second. No, I'm sorry. It's the cedar and it's the cold. I don't mean to sound hoarse. It's just, forgive me, okay? I'm not trying to sound like my father. Okay. Test. Your destiny lies with me, Skywalker. Autobots transform and roll out. Megatron. We must stop Megatron. Okay. All right. So getting into the point that I want to make about RFK. The people in MAGA that still consider themselves to be MAGA, it's really MIGA, and we all know this, but the people that still consider themselves to be MAGA, they are so desperate for a win or a victory or a clip or XYZ, blah, blah, blah. They're so tantalized by it that if you get a scrap of someone like acting tough even or doing quarter reps on the leg press, they go, how dare you, Chris? That's my house there, boy. I don't tell you. And I'm like, well, they're not doing the job. They're doing the opposite of the job. And beyond even that, it's not even that they do the opposite of the job. They do the opposite of what they said that they would do. These people got their appointments because the public liked them because they promised radical solutions. Do we get Epstein file? Do we get pesticides out of the food? Hell no. So, I'm pontificating. Welcome to the show. I can already tell it's going to be a good one. The power's flowing. So, welcome to the show. I'll be live for a while tonight. Let's get into some of the clips because I am just yapping. Let's see. So this was big. This is interesting. Trump bans U.S. government from using Anthropic tech. Okay. The United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. That decision belongs to your commander in chief, who's me. The tremendous leaders I report to our military. Left wing nut jobs at Anthropic have made a disastrous mistake, trying to strong arm the Department of War and force them to obey their terms of service instead of our Constitution. So, long story short, they didn't want their tech being used in operations of mass surveillance or to hurt people or kill people. At least I think that was the stated reason. We don't have to get all into this into too much detail. I just wanted you to know this is going on. I've been messing with Claude, and I had used it before. I've used all the AI systems. I really hate ChatGPT now. There was a period of time where ChatGPT was like GPT-4, and it was actually decently impressive. It would do a good job researching things. It's complete garbage now. I'm canceling my subscription tonight. You know what? I've said it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I really like working with Claude, especially for generating art or graphs or actual design work. Very much so superior to ChatGPT. Really enjoying working on some of the supplement stuff with Claude. So works out even better for me. The government doesn't like it. It's pretty based. Trump claims a tough policeman told him his sex life is better and his wife no longer treats him like a dog. It's true. Thanks to the stock market under President Trump. So this is another thing where Heil the stock market, Heil Pam Bondi, Heil Dow over 50,000. I guess we're just doing more of that. So that's the new religion of the country. And I guess because Trump is vaguely funny somehow, it's supposed to be based.
I have a policeman. I tell the story. Same guy. I meet him, but this wonderful, tough policeman from New York. He's taking good care of us, and he said, "Sir, it's so good. My married life has gotten so much better. Why? My wife thought I was a loser financially. I couldn't make any money because my 401k was dying for years, and now she thinks I'm the smartest financial genius ever. It's made my..."
What happened? Did he rug pull the crypto coin with you or something? Because it's not getting better for anybody else. Gas might be cheaper, but I mean, all you've done is sell out the country to the AI companies and to big business and ultimately cut regulations and taxes for them and not for us. So, I'm a small business owner. I employ people. So, for anyone going, "You're young, but you don't know what you're talking about," I probably know more about it than you. Don't want to make an arrogant statement. That's a bit of a dickish thing for me to say. But seriously, some of these people that come after me online, it's just how do you support this? How do you, is it, do you like the funny story that Trump tell you? Is that what it is? It's thoroughly unimpressive to me.
Sex life good. It's made my life good. It's given me a tremendous boost in life, sir. This is a big, tough cop. He said, my wife...
And this is what I'm talking about with MAGA begging for scraps. The president said the word sex, and everyone's like, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. He said the word sex. And it's just that's what's the saying? I care not for your booze. I've seen what makes you cheer. That's very true when it comes to the American public.
Treated me like a dog, and now she admires my financial genius, and I haven't done anything. My 401k has gone through the roof. So I said, thank you very much.
Okay, we'll close that out. Pretty dead stream tonight, guys. None of the usual suspects in the live chat. It's kind of dead air, but I'm enjoying it. Let's go ahead and get into RFK. I'm going to report the news now, do actual news blitz, and not just yap. From Secretary Kennedy, I greatly enjoyed my candid conversation with Joe Rogan about the many issues facing our country. As I said, I understand the president's need to protect our farmers and our national security through his executive order on glyphosate. So it's both only used on 3% of the fields, and it's not a big deal, and shut up, pig, if you care about it. But it's also vital to the national security. We must have it or no one can eat. Do we see an issue here? That's called a circle. That's called a logical fallacy. Okay, because one of them just feeds into the other, and it's all bullshit. So, Joe Rogan, Rogan just challenging, brother. Joe Rogan just challenged RFK Jr. on Trump's glyphosate executive order. He opposes the Trump DOJ support for the immunity shield. I think I have the shorter clip of this, but we'll go ahead and play context. It's a dead stream tonight. Welcome to the show, whoever's sitting in here, because I know the Twitter number is bullshit. Okay, and everyone knows the Twitter number is bullshit. That's the dirty little secret of Elon's pseudo view body. Okay, so like, I probably have a dozen of y'all in here, maybe a few more. Welcome to the show. I love doing it for you. It's very intimate. We're here together, in a platonic way. Let me take you on a date. Let me take you down information lane. Let's get into it tonight.
I wanted to ask you about pesticides. So what was the recent ruling on glyphosate?
That was an EO, which is an executive order from the president saying that we're going to make the ingredients for glyphosate in this country. And
we're going to make American pesticide. I haven't even seen this yet. Holy hell. I mean, come on, brother. Come on, man. Well, you see, the American companies, they don't want to stop using glyphosate. So what we're going to do is we're going to have them make it themselves here instead of buying it from China. And that's a win for America.
Elemental phosphorus. And, I've spent 40 years fighting pesticides.
I'm trying something here. I have my mic unmuted when I'm playing the clip. Let me know if it gives audio reverb feedback. Nimrod Pod, you're my only hope tonight. You're literally the only person in the live chat saying anything. So let me know.
It was, I was part of the trial team on the Monsanto case, which was the team that, we won 3 cases in a row and then got an $11 billion settlement with Monsanto, which is now Bayer by the end of our trial. Bayer owned Monsanto. But, pesticides are poison. They're designed to kill all life.
All right, Crazy Echo, I've got to remember to unmute myself after I play a clip, and it means I can't do the signature interruptions. Got to figure out that audio issue. Really got to figure it out. Thank you all for bearing with me tonight. Yeah, he has an echo because it's my mic. Thank you, C. Lars. Thank you, X. Thank you, Nimrod Pod. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, anyone else that's here. Give me some energy. Let's get after it tonight. Let's read some fun comments. Say some wild stuff in there. Ask me some wild questions. Let's go for it.
It's not a good thing to have in food. So, but so it's not something that I was particularly happy with. Let me put it that way mildly. But I also understand.
Okay, so you spend a decade fighting Monsanto in court over this specific chemical compound. You are trying to prove, and you end up proving that it is carcinogenic. What is the exact definition? In 2015, the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IRAC, part of the WHO, classified glyphosate as probably carcinogenic to humans. This is based primarily on studies and some epidemiological evidence linking it to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay, newsflash, if it's carcinogenic and it causes one kind of cancer, it causes all different kinds of cancers. And you can look at the chronic disease and the cancer epidemic in this country, and you can look at the millions of pounds used per year, and they kind of track with each other. And it's one of many factors, but it's something that's blatantly on its face, so evil and so bad. Like, you think about it. Here's the thing. It is so hard to lobby against both the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry because they both fund the agencies designed to regulate them. 75% of the funding for pharmaceutical regulatory bodies like the FDA or some of the other ones, I believe NIH as well, it comes from the drug companies. It comes from the drug manufacturers. I imagine it's pretty similar when it comes to food or food-like products. Because what is a pesticide? A pesticide is a drug. What is glyphosate? Glyphosate is modified glycine. What is glycine? Glycine is an amino acid responsible for collagen synthesis in your body. What is the health theory on what glyphosate does and why it's carcinogenic, why it's bad for you in general? Glyphosate replaces the glycine in your body over time. This is a leading theory. This isn't just me coming up with this. And that over time leads to cell senescence, which are zombie cells, and then cancer. So speculation, I identify myself 5,000 foot thick force field around my entire existence, pure speculation. But this is something that RFK spent a decade trying to prove. And now that he's the big man, the big health, I'm a health secretary now. Now that he's the big man on campus, now that he's playing for the team, now that he's playing on the field, we're going to get into that, believe me. Once you start talking about them party politics, we're going to have fun tonight, guys. Stream's just beginning. But he's happy now. Oh, no. Okay, I got my phone timer going off. Damn it. All right, I'm going to rewind, and then I'm going to come back. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, guys.
I wanted to ask you about pesticides. So what was the recent ruling on glyphosate?
I was on an EO, which is an executive order from the president saying that we're going to make the ingredients for glyphosate in this country and for elemental phosphorus. And I've spent 40 years fighting pesticides. I was part of the trial team on the Monsanto case, which was the team that, we won 3 cases in a row and then got an $11 billion settlement with Monsanto, which is now Bayer. By the end of our trial, Bayer owned Monsanto.
And I'm sorry about the echo, y'all. I apologize. I forgot to mute myself. It's hard, and we had a lot of offers for switchers, and we had a lot of great people, and we brought Wes on board. He's a great guy. I'm definitely going to need a personal switcher who's just willing to hang out with me and go live with me every day. It really sucks to have to run all of this by yourself. And I'm having fun. I enjoy it, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity and y'all choosing to spend some time with me here tonight. But it is a little aggravating because I want to give you quality. Okay, so forgive me for missteps and mistakes.
But pesticides are poison. They're designed to kill all life. It's not a good thing to have in your food. So it's not something that I was particularly happy with. Let me put it that way mildly. But I also understand the president's point of view. The president didn't create the system. He's dealing with a problem that was created long before over the past.
I understand the president. He's dealing with the system. It's not his fault. Isn't his job to be the wrecking ball to break the system and actually fix it? It's just like with Patel. It's just like with all of them. Patel, he runs. I say runs nominally. He got appointed to the job. He's not running. He's not getting elected for anything. But he campaigns for the position of FBI director with his actions, saying he's going to shut down and basically demolish the Hoover building. What does he do? He moves everyone from the Hoover building into a bigger, nicer building, keeps them doing their same activities, the things he was criticizing, and then turns that building into a museum to honor their achievements. So, I mean, is it all just bullshit? I think it is. I mean, especially, with Bongino, with Cash. Cash is just honest to God grifter. Like that's respectable. He's like Better Call Saul. We need a Better Call Saul style show with Cash Patel. But with someone like Bongino, with someone like Kennedy, with someone with long-standing credibility, who lobbied to get their position basically to the American people based on their radical solutions, to then make excuses, to then go, it's the system, man. It's the system, bro. Well, aren't you the people driving the system? Aren't you guys supposed to snap your fingers and the system is supposed to jump? Isn't that the whole role of the executive branch, is to manage all these god-awful agencies that have been created and run them and control them? And it's like, and it's with the DOJ too. See, it's a symptom of the whole thing. They go, well, Trump has had a problem with the DOJ. Pam Bondi kind of dumbhead. And, Trump trying to get things done. She ain't looking into it. And it's like, it's not that she's not looking into it. She's deliberately ignoring it because she's been told to ignore it. And she's got connections with the pesticide and all of it. So it blows my mind. Clips like this blow my mind. And they don't blow my mind because of what the person is saying in the clip. It blows my mind because of the online defense of it. And it's like I said, people are fiending for that last hit on the crack pipe. People are fiending for that last shred of dope in the baggie. And you are so desperate for that 2024, we're going to fix it feel, that people are just overlooking all of this. And it's not to be overlooked. This is disgraceful. He should have resigned. $270 million lawsuit. gets it listed as possibly or probably carcinogenic with the WHO, basically. You're like, WHO, you trust that? You trust that? Oh, you trust Trump, who made the vaccines and who hired Fauci and had Fauci basically ruin the country and made him his best friend at the press conference? It's all hypocrisy. Okay. And we're allowed to be mad about it. You know, I'm sorry about the rants. I'm sorry about the tangents. Here's the thing. It upsets me greatly that for once in our lives, we were actually promised real solutions. Like they told us a thing they would do that would actually fix the problem. Instead of just fixing the problem or promising to fix the problem, they always do that. They'll tell you what the problem is, and then they'll do the exact opposite. They'll make it worse. This was the first administration in my lifetime that if they had actually followed through and done what they were supposed to do, or even half of it, would have been LeBron, would have been Kobe, would have been Michael Jordan. Like, we're talking about the greatest dynasty ever. But they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it because of the love of money and the love of the elites and the love of the club. And that's what it's all about. Trump inherited the system. It's not Trump's fault. He has to work inside the system. I thought we were doing 1776. I thought we were doing peaceful political revolution. I thought we were toppling things and remaking them for the better. That's what I voted for. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean crazy socialism or violence. What does that mean? It means an end to the fucking wars, man. That's all you got to do. Hey, removing the poison from our food and water, that's great too. Stopping the mass death around the globe, I think it outweighs every other problem we face right now because everything is downstream of that. Everything is downstream of our blatant disrespect for human life. And it's clear in every use case of these people in government. But I'll play the rest of it. I know. I apologize.
60 years when, through federal policies and subsidies and the management of farming in this country, the agricultural management, we have addicted our farmers to these pesticides, and particularly glyphosate. Glyphosate is the...
I'm sorry. It's probably gonna be a long show tonight too. It's gonna be fun. Here's the thing. I'm not even arguing with what he's saying here. That's true. 95% of corn is Roundup ready. So like we're dealing with this every day. People on the internet, when you criticize Kennedy, when you criticize the Trump administration over the glyphosate, they will say it's only used on 3% of the fields. It's not a big deal. People that work with it have longer life expectancies. They push it as some sort of a health thing. It's like, oh, the people wearing massive protective equipment when they deal with a carcinogen are living. Wow, isn't that interesting? You ever look at these people, they have to dress like a beekeeper. Okay. But don't worry, it's perfectly safe. So these people will say it's only used on 3% of the field. Shut the fuck up. You don't get to criticize Kennedy, my God, who does quarter reps on the leg press while he wears jeans. Very bizarre. We will get to that. I can't help it. I'm having fun tonight. They want to tell you that it doesn't matter. And they also want to tell you that you have to listen to Kennedy and shut the fuck up when he says it's the most important thing ever in modern agriculture in our country. And it's just the schizophrenia of it, the hypocrisy of it. It's just, I sit here and I'm a complete bum. Okay. I'm not claiming to be a Mensa society member. I'm not claiming to have 140 IQ, 150 IQ, 130 IQ. I'm not claiming to have any of these things. Right. But I can smell a rat. And this is all bullshit. It's all BS.
The foundational pesticide of our food production system. So 97% of corn in this country is produced with glyphosate and can't be produced without.
I thought it was only used on 3% of the fields. I'm sorry, nigga, my bad. Shit. Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, seriously. And I just, again, the people defending this, they say it's only used on 3% of the fields.
About it. 98%, you could do it. You could change it. There's organic corn producers in this country. It's like 3%. 98% of soy is produced with glyphosate. If you ban glyphosate overnight, or if you got rid of it, or if somebody else cut off our supply, it would destroy the American food system. And
okay, I know I have him on slowed and reverb for you. I'm sorry about the audio. Here's what he just said. If I messed up the audio and you didn't hear it correctly, It would destroy the American food system to get rid of glyphosate. That's why it's national security. We have to have it. I'm sorry. And maybe this is radical, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. Maybe we don't need 80 different flavors of chips at the gas station. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't need 100 different bread companies that are all out to poison us and are all owned by the same, giant manufacturers. Maybe we don't. Maybe we need to clean up the carbohydrate supply of the country. Maybe we need to pull that for a while. I mean, think about it. If it was discovered that rat poison, I'll get into this as an example. If it was discovered that rat poison was in most of the grain, was in most of the corn, was in most of the food, would you not demand the government take the rat poison out, or at least put a label on everything that had a big red caution thing on it saying stop has rat poison? Like, if the people are like, we want our rat poison, we have to eat it, we don't want anything else. Okay, we're going to put a warning label on it so people that are ignorant don't get caught up in this scheme. I mean, am I not making sense? Am I talking to a brick wall here? I think my audience is smart. I think my audience understands what I'm saying. This is outrageous, man. And like, be the radical, be the person that's willing to make the change in the government when you're in the government. This is like you're playing football and there's no other team. And you walk the ball up to the touchdown line. And then you just like spike it on the ground before you're actually standing over it. And then you declare that you've won and that that's how the game is played, and no one can complain about how the game is played because that's how the game is played. This is emperor has no clothes level stuff. And it's a real Chat GPT test on society, because like you can literally have Chat GPT craft an answer or response to anything. I see these people on X all day and they can't write for themselves. They don't know how to use language. They don't understand it, but they can type a prompt. They can say, give smart response, help me roast this retard. And then they'll get a 5-paragraph thing that looks right, kind of, that smells right, kind of. But if you actually read it and you have any level of comprehension over, I don't know, like a 9th grade level, it's all bullshit. It's like, oh, man, what did this person, I was criticizing someone that was using it, right? And I was like, you need to use your own brain. You don't need to write with a computer. You don't need the computer to help you. And what was it? It was like, AI doesn't limit the conversation. It raises the level, but it wasn't even raises the level. I'm making it sound too good. I want to go back and find it. There's a way that it writes, and it's just complete bullshit. But here's the thing. People overwhelmingly, they love it. They say that it's smarter than them, that it's smarter than anybody. And I'm not saying this is prepared by AI or anything. I'm just saying, like, it's an eloquent, prepared response. He's a lifelong politician. He's a lifelong lawyer. He knows how to speak, but it's not real. It's HR language. It's just filling a space with adjectives and verbs and nouns that don't mean anything, right? I wish I could give a good example off the top of my head. This is proof I'm not smart. I'm going to play it and I'm going to try to come up with one in my head.
How crazy is that statement? The American foods, the entire system is based on using the poison.
Right. The farmers don't like it. Let me just explain what the EO did. Right now, according to the industry reports, 99% of our glyphosate comes from China. Oh, the Pentagon and others said this is an extreme national security vulnerability, that China controls the U.S. food system. We can't afford to let that happen. If we got in some kind of tangle with them, it could literally cut off our food supply overnight and cripple the country. And so that's what the president was responding to. But we all know we've got to transition off of glyphosate. We all know that. And the farmers hate it. They're now starting to see these chemical resistant weeds, so that can't be treated with glyphosate. And that was predictable.
And what is that? That's gain of function research on our environment without our consent. I thought that was the thing you were against, Mr. Consistency over here. I can't help it. I'm coming after you. I can't. I know people like you. I know you're popular, but this is pure bullshit, and I can refute you with one sentence. Well, 2 or 3. It's just it's so insane. It's so crazy. Theory, your system audio is being mixed back into your mic input bus. You could have loop back enabled on your audio interface. You on Mac or Windows? This is Windows right now. Thank you for the tip. Can you name a single person that is pro-Israel that you trust? It's a dead giveaway that you're a traitor, IMO. I think some of the people that support it are, how do I put this? I think they're ignorant, but I think it's a chosen ignorance. I think it's something that you choose to ignore. Here's the thing: if you have a pro-Israeli position, that means it's a pro-war position. Ultimately, I don't trust you, right? So that's what it comes down to. And like me and Tim have our disagreements on this, but Tim is very strongly anti-interventionist, right? So we're allowed to have a difference of opinion on Israel because he doesn't want war. But if someone wants war, if someone's going to justify it in any way possible, yeah, they're a traitor to the country. And like that's very clear. The American public, 70% of the American public don't want this war. Overwhelming hatred against Trump for trying to do this. And we'll get into it because, I'm not just here to bash Trump. I want to see if he doesn't do it. I think there's like a 20% chance that Taco Trump always chickens out. And that would be an incredible thing. But we'll get into that. That's another segment. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to war, and he's going to go, full traitor, torch my brand forever, be the new Jimmy Carter. I think that's coming.
The inputs, it's costing a lot of money. 3, the foreign countries won't allow them to export. Like Europe doesn't allow, most European countries don't allow the export of our crops to their countries.
Well, how are they doing it?
What a great moment. We'll go back to that. How are they doing it? How does everyone else do it? But we're the ones that they don't use it, but we have to.
The export of our crops to their countries.
Well, how are they doing it?
They use less glyphosate than we do.
But they
use some. They use it, but our system is all Roundup Ready corn and Roundup Ready soy,
right.
And so they don't use it like we do over here.
Ideally, that we would transition away from that, right?
Yeah, and it's also they know it's destroying their soil.
Okay, so it's destroying the soil. Everyone else hates it. We're the only ones that use it. Because we use it, other countries won't take our crops. They won't take our grains and our carbohydrates, our corn that we use it on. But we have to have it. And it's also only used on 3% of the field, so it's not a big deal. Shut up. Okay. All right, this is the world we're going to live in. That's fine. We'll all dance around and drink until we all die. Won't that be nice? All right, I've had enough of this. I'm a Zoomer. I got a short attention span, kind of bringing things down with RFK. Here we go. I was going to make a point at this, though. We'll stay on RFK for the first hour. And it's just, here's the thing. He follows me. Or I don't know, Eric, I don't know why you follow me because we vehemently disagree on a lot of different things. Shout out to you. And maybe open thinker, open mind wants to have their positions challenged. But I mean, this is just state stenography, right? In the same way that media companies like BuzzFeed and CNN work for the Biden administration. All right, you got to call it out either way you see it. Wow. HHS Secretary RFK Jr. reveals, that his biggest surprise joining the Trump admin was realizing how much they lied about Republicans. I imagine Republicans were, how do we screw the poor? How do we cut taxes to the rich? They're focused on how do we solve problems? How do we make our country work? And it's just like this is slop. This is used to get a low propensity voter that just likes all these people and sees them as their heroes. They see the clip of RFK, they go to the poll during the midterm. So he's working the political program. And this is my point, because on the Nimrod pod, my voice is destroyed. Give me 1 second. On the Nimrod pod, they asked me this question. They say, do you think RFK is blackmailed? Do you think he's controlled? I said, no. He's a part of the political establishment. He's a part of a political royal family. And when they gave him the opportunity to get off the bench and get on the field, it didn't matter what team he was going to play for. He just wanted to be in the game. Right? So let's watch RFK on that field playing offensive tackle, doing his job to cover up for the administration. And more than that, I'll get into it, but I'll roll a clip.
As far as what you thought this job was going to be before you got in, and what it became, what was your expectations when you got in? Like, did anything really surprise you?
I mean, I try to go into every part of my life without expectations.
I'm sorry. I know I'm the worst about pausing things. I love to interrupt. Watch a man formulate a lie. Watch him formulate his lie. Look at the pause. Look at the thinking. It's not the type of thinking expression that someone make if they're trying to search for an answer, like a legitimate one. He's thinking about what he can get away with here and how he needs to stay on message. Let's pay attention to this real quick. Just watch the beginning of it. Watch him start to answer the question. I'm just gonna let it roll. I'll stop interrupting.
What was your expectations when you got in? Like, did anything really surprise you?
I mean, I try to go into every part of my life without expectations, and just focus on really narrowly on what I'm doing day by day. And that actually makes me a lot more resilient, because if you don't have expectations, you never get disappointments. And so you can never get crushed.
Is that healthy? Is that what we want from our elected officials? We don't want them to have expectations. Well, I just put my head down and I do what Massa tells me to do and I just work. Are you a slave? What's wrong with you? You're a free man. You're a human being. You had positions and things that you wanted to do when you got the job, right? We'll get into it. I mean, it's just the defeat of the American public is truly complete, because like our heroes go out there and they shill for the uniparty system. They shill for the permanent bureaucracy. They shill for what they work in. And then somehow this is like, it goes hard, man. He said the Republicans are actually trying to change things, man. And that's what brought them over the Democratic Party. I left the Democratic Party too. I don't believe that many people are that stupid.
And but I would say that, I had not spent a lot of my life hanging out with Republicans. And what I imagine that they were talking about is exactly the opposite of, now I'm in an administration that surrounded by immensely talented people, and they're immensely idealistic. And, I always imagined the Republicans would get together and they'd be thinking about how do we screw the poor and how do we, reduce the tax on the rich. And they're just narrowly focused on how do we solve these big problems.
Well, both parties, both the Democrats and the Republicans, both of them together, they're like, how do we screw the poor and how do we help the rich? Maybe he doesn't recognize it because he's been a part of it, or has been a part of it now after 2024. I mean, it's just like this is what people will like. They will hang on to this last morsel of heroin, this last rock inside the crack pipe. They will go, but RFK said the Republicans are better than the Democrats, and they actually talk about real solutions, and that's why he's happy to work with them now, and that's why. And you're just like, man, it's over. Okay, they're about to take us to war, and they just said that we have to have the pesticide. We have to be poisoned, even though it's destroying the soil, even though it hurts people. We have to have it as a matter of national security. The guy that won a $270 million lawsuit proving it causes cancer. I mean, like we need to start support groups for this, seriously, because Trump derangement syndrome goes both ways. Like the radical hate for him, and especially for things that are fake, like the Russia hoax and all of that. That's one side of it. The other side of it is supporting him in the modern era, especially with stuff like this going on. I mean, this is disgraceful. Kennedy should resign.
How do we make our country work? And the level of idealism that I see at every level in the White House and, in my agency is.
And that's the thing. I don't care if it's the same questions from the same person. Ask me things tonight. I'll answer them. Having fun with you guys, interacting on stream. I really want to do that. Okay. Like, this is me personally. I will not charge you for super chats on like singular shows that I do. on my usual daily lives. I just will not have super chats enabled. I don't have Twitter AdSense enabled for this reason. I just want to hang out and talk to people. All right. And if you want to support me, you can get supplements, whatever. He needs to clarify the timeline and path for getting off the pesticides. When can we expect action on this before 28 years? I agree. Right. So, like, if it was one thing where like, we cannot get rid of this right now, we're going to get rid of it over the next 2 years. And this is how we're phasing it out. The warning labels start tomorrow. The pulling of it starts in 6 months. We have to do it. We have to phase it out slowly or it'll destroy everything. Totally reasonable. I still wouldn't be happy about it. I'd still be upset about it. But it would be a thing as to where you could actually say they are looking into it. They are taking action. They are doing things. See, I'm not just a contrarian. I supported Trump for 10 years. I'm not just a hater. I'm angry because we were lied to, right? And here's the thing. To your question, X, we're just going to see more and more vague signaling, and it's what they always say. We're looking into it, and that's like that scene from The Big Lebowski when the guy gets his car stolen and the cops like laughing at him. And that's what our government is, to its very core.
Is inspiring. And then the level of the capabilities, just the competence of the people who I'm surrounded with.
All right, well, I'm gonna shut up. I'm just gonna shut up. Look at all these tabs. I have a ton of stuff to talk about with you guys tonight. So we got this. I'm not even going to play more RFK because I'm going to work for the pharmaceutical and drug and pesticide industries. We don't need to do any more of it. RFK Jr. I ran against Ukraine war, and the Democrats were always the anti-war party. But as soon as Trump questioned that war, they became the pro-war party. Well, both parties are the pro-war party. Nothing's changed. Like, if you were put in a cabinet position, you were the most popular person in the administration, and he is by far. That's why so many normies come out of the woodwork to defend RFK. It's because people like him, and he's a likable guy. I liked him at one point. I liked him a lot. He's still not an unlikable guy. I don't hate RFK. It's very sad. But I'm against Ukraine war, and Democrats are anti-war party. The Republicans are the real anti-war party. If you were the most popular person that got the job, and everyone liked you, and the credibility of the administration in a lot of ways really does hang on RFK, at least with like a solid 10 to 20% of the base. And that's a big deal right now with the 37% approval rating that Trump has. Why wouldn't you make a stand if you're the principled ideological man that you've always claimed to be? Why wouldn't you fight on death? Just fight on death. Like, it doesn't matter what happens to you. If you're actually able to push things using the goodwill you have in the court of public opinion, you'd be a hero. But they're never willing to do it. And this is why we got to be very careful with endorsements, especially on the national level. We got to really watch our ass, okay? Like, they have to lay out a plan for exactly how they're going to phase out or get rid of whatever program they promise to get rid of. As if you just say you're going to do it, the greatest proof of that not working out is this administration, okay? RFK Jr. pushes back on the thing. Not something I'm particularly happy with. Pesticides are poison. We watched that. RFK Jr. suggests that Americans can more easily afford groceries if they start eating liver instead of beef. Most of the cheap cuts of meat are very inexpensive. You can buy liver or the cheap cuts. Okay, that's how you do it. Because I was messing up on the RFK voice. You got to do gravel light. But then you also have to do Jewish on top of it. I know he's not Jewish or whatever, but this is me trying to sound normal like RFK. This is how RFK actually sounds when they talk about the glyphosate and the white fish and the bagel. Like, it is a little bit of that. So you got to throw that in there. But here's the thing. Is he eating the cheap cuts of meat? Is that what he's doing? I guarantee Wagyu beef, A1 bison, beefalo, whatever, Angus, like the highest quality meats. I guarantee that's all this guy eats, right? But we've watched the price of beef or the price of bison, I'll use as an example, $5.50 in 2016. Now, modern era, $14.50. All right, and ground beef is a little bit less, but it's around the same. It's around $10 to $12 a pound. If it's high quality, you can get slop for like $9.50 or $10. So, and I'm in Texas where there's actual beef, right? A lot of places it's much worse than here. But wouldn't you, RFK, if you want people to eat more high quality animal protein, if you want people to eat more steak and eat more meat, to have strong bones and drink more milk, shouldn't you be lobbying to make it more affordable? Shouldn't you be fighting the meat packing industry, which adds a 50% tax on the consumer and just pays themselves? Wouldn't you fix something for small ranchers and small farmers? Maybe he's doing it. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe he's looking into it all. He looking into it now. We all better take a step back and go back to our houses and go to sleep because he's looking into it. I'm sure that'll be somebody's response, and that's fine. Until I see action, I'm just going to tear you down, and that's a non-negotiable. But again, is he eating the cheap cuts? I don't think he's eating the cheap cuts at all. Okay. Bobby's disappointed. All right, okay. I'm just going to read it. I'm going to get through all my tabs. I need to practice being a better broadcaster. Bobby's disappointed. White House advisor Collie Means says that the recent glyphosate executive order is extremely disappointing, but HHS is working hard to address it. I'm not going to gaslight or sugarcoat it. The glyphosate thing was extremely disappointing. There's no message from me, the White House, or Bobby that you should not be letting your anger out. It's a fucking executive order. What are you talking about? And this is the thing. They're counting on the literacy of the public to be zilch, not a nothing, zero. They did this. They could have. If you put warning labels on it, I wouldn't be crashing out. Okay, but they couldn't even do that. They couldn't even do that, guys. There's going to be ups and downs, and there is zero question this week was a down. I mean, so like they know they failed. Like this is an admission of failure. But see, we're not supposed to be mad about that. We're supposed to go, look at all the good he's doing. Okay, yeah. I got a bullet wound in my leg. Look at all the good my torso and my arms and my head are doing. They're totally fine. I can't stand this shit, man. Bobby got on the phone. Oh, I got to look into it. We pay you $1 billion a month just to shut up. Okay, understood. I'm not looking into it anymore. Is that the phone call that he's making? Is that how it goes down? We are going to research a bridge off these toxic chemicals that our farmers are. Oh, it's the mob. It's unfortunately you're dependent on the toxic chemicals that are destroying the soil and destroying the soul of the American people. Unfortunately, it's a problem for you and a problem for us, but we're going to fix things. We're going to make things better. Now, when you get the poison, it's going to be made here in America. So at least you know jobs and money are coming out of the death of the American children in the American healthcare system. I mean, come on, man. We are going to get a bridge off these chemicals, and you got this guy doing a song. I'm sure he's really upset. I'm sure he means well. I'm sure RFK has gone, look, it's just the people at the top. We couldn't get it pushed through this time, but you're going to be in this business a long time, kid, and you're going to affect real change. We're going to get it banned in 20 years. And then it never gets banned. And the guy's like, yes, sir, RFK, you're my hero. I believe in you. I love you. And then it just goes forward. See, like, I believe that you can be a good person and you could do a lot of evil, right? Especially like in the public service context, working in the government, because you want to help people. You look up to a leader figure. You're just following orders. That's the Nazi Germany example, right? I drop truth bombs all day on the show, all day for free. True or false, RFK Jr. wanted on InfoWars in 24 before he dropped out? I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I would have to think it's false because Democrat, but I don't know. I hate liver. It's good, man, if it's fried. And that's like a Texas Cafe classic. Very good. Mark Ripito has an excellent recipe for it on YouTube. But bad liver is really bad. So I can agree with you there. No more defending the Trump admin. We have to go after them relentlessly until they capitulate to our demands or are brutally defeated in the next election. Yes, exactly. Right? Like, are we cattle for these people or are we their constituents? Do we actually get a say, or are we like the Democrats who have the super delegates and then they're all just cucks, so they just accept it and they don't have real primary elections? Do we have real primaries? We're going to find out. Fishback Byron, Putsch, Ramaswamy, all these different races. So coming in on the top rope, or come from the top rope, coming in from the rafters is Thomas Massey, Representative Thomas Massey. All three branches of this government are under siege by lobbyists and lawyers from a German company called Bayer. They spent over $9 million lobbying the executive branch and the legislative branch so they don't have to be liable for any damages that their herbicide causes, otherwise known as Roundup. See, it is the pharmaceutical industry. It's not the food. It's not even necessarily big ag, although I'm sure they're a part of it. It's literally the drug companies. And like we've already been over on the show many times, like earlier on the broadcast, I said 75% of the funding for the bodies that are supposed to regulate and do the testing and see if things are dangerous, like the FDA, it comes from the drug companies. I learned that. Guess where I learned that? I learned that from reading RFK's book, The Real Dr. Anthony Fauci, or listening to it. It's a 36-hour-long audiobook. I listened to the whole thing in about, like 2 weeks, maybe a little less. It was thrilling. It's an excellent book, excellent narrator. That's where I learned that from. I didn't just pull that out of my ass. He told me about it. He told me about it, and now he ain't doing nothing. Whoa, man. It's just, and that's the thing is like when you have context for this, it just becomes truly insane. But I'm going to go ahead and play this clip now.
This government is under siege. All three branches of this government is under siege by lobbyists and lawyers from a German company named Bayer. They spent over $9 million lobbying the executive branch and the legislative branch so that they don't have to be liable for any damages that their herbicide causes, otherwise known as Roundup. This government is under siege. All three branches of this government is under siege by lobbyists and lawyers from a German company.
Okay, that was shorter than I thought. It just looped. Excellent points. I mean, here's the thing, man. I know I said I wouldn't vote. I will vote for him. I'll vote for him in a primary. I would vote for him in a main election. I vote for him as an independent, whatever. And Massey kind of ticket's very dangerous in 28. I know he said he wouldn't run, but they all say that. And then we got a longer Massey clip with more Massey context. Massey maxing tonight. Representative Thomas Massey says the decision to focus on manufacturing more pesticides in America is linked to Attorney General Pam Bondi. And I just think about this, right? It's so insane. It's like, well, we got a problem with all this death. It ain't made in America. The jokes, they write themselves. We're the joke. The American people are the joke. That's the real joke. The president's attorney general worked for one of the biggest lobbying firms that's received hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars from Bayer. The attorney general has opined favorably for this German company in front of the Supreme Court about getting rid of any liability that they should have for any damages. Maybe that's why we've seen an executive order that says the production of this chemical from this German company is a national defense priority. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You're telling me the attorney general has lobbied on behalf of this drug company for liability protections, and now that's what they're getting? I mean, Trump is a real puppet. Okay, Trump doesn't actually make any decisions. I heard Russell Dobler make this point on due dissidence. I thought it was an excellent point on the stream. Here's what he said. He said, "You look at your real presidents. That's Scott Bessent. That's Howard Lutnick. And Pam Bondi's kind of an idiot. Maybe that's an act. Maybe she's a real shrewd operator and knows what she's doing. I'm of the opinion she just works for Trump and that she's also evil. But there's a lot there. There's a lot there to look at. Let's go ahead and watch this."
Madam Speaker, I rise today to let the American people know that this government is under siege. All three branches of this government is under siege by lobbyists and lawyers from a German company named Bayer. They spent over $9 million lobbying the executive branch and the legislative branch so that they don't have to be liable for any damages that their herbicide causes, otherwise known as Roundup. And they're having some success. Now, they haven't had any success yet in this chamber to get that immunity. They've had some success in the state legislatures, which are also under siege, to get this immunity from liability. Look, the Constitution guarantees people a trial if they've been harmed. Why are we contemplating going against the Constitution? The Attorney General has opined favorably.
And that's the thing. Why would you give a company, especially a massive monopoly company like Monsanto or Bayer, why would you give them immunity from being sued? We didn't get that. We got sued for $1 billion, right? All because My dad said something didn't happen, maybe, right? But these companies, they can kill people on record. If you don't let me say on that, just sue me, because I'm sure I can find a dozen examples, or a couple 100,000 examples of y'all doing that. But man, we don't have a country. We have a joke. Like this is obscene. And you got one guy talking about it. You got Thomas Massey talking about it right now.
Favorably for this German company in front of the Supreme Court about getting rid of any liability that they should have for any damages.
They'd never let me in there. Not after what I've said about Trump. Absolutely. They do a background check into me, and they'd say, like, he's tweeted what about Lindsey Graham? He's tweeted what about Mark Levin? He's tweeted what about Trump sucking Netanyahu's dick? And then I wouldn't get it. I would not get it. But it's a nice thought. I would love to ask him questions. Thank you for that, X. I appreciate it.
And the most recent thing that we've seen, the executive branch. By the way, the president's chief of staff and the president's attorney general worked for one of the biggest lobbying firms that's received hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars from Bayer. And maybe that's why we've seen an executive order that says that the production of this chemical from this German company is a national defense priority. And we know why they're doing that. It's to keep them from having any liability. Everybody in this country deserves their day in court. This is wrong. We shouldn't succumb to the lobbyists, not in the executive branch, not in the judicial branch, and certainly not here in Congress and not in the state legislatures. But there's a lot of money at play. And I implore my colleagues to resist it and do not give them immunity. And I yield back.
And we have new viewers all the time. I'm going to break down my glyphosate argument. A lot of the times people will defend this and say that we need it, and that you're an idiot if you criticize Kennedy or Trump for doing this, and you don't know what you're talking about. So the argument that they most often use is that it's only used on 3% of the fields. We just watched RFK say it's used on 97% of the corn. On record, it's used on 1/3 of the fields in the United States for weed control. It's only for the desiccant purposes that it's used 3% of the time. So they will tell you, on one hand, that it's absolutely essential, that we must have it for national security, national defense. We must have 80 different flavors of chips at the gas station. We must have thousands of different selections of poisons for the American public to dine on. But then at the same time, it's hardly used for anything. It's not that important. Shut up. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. Just going to keep saying it over and over and over again. It gets tiring. Sometimes I mess up how I say it a little bit. This should be very clear hypocrisy. Okay. And it's an IQ test. It's an IQ test. Are we getting to the good stuff now? Okay. We've reached that holy mountain. We've reached that other side. We're here now. War talk. All right. I don't know what that was. That was pretty bad. We're having fun here tonight. Fast and loose. That's how I always do it. It's always a chill stream, solo stream with me. Always a fun time. Megatron. Okay. I got to stop. So I want to get into the calm before the storm. And I'll cut back to myself for a second. I want to talk about the calm before the storm. I want to talk about the anticipation, the saber rattling, all of it going on from multiple different parties relating to the Iran conflict. We're going to get into a phenomenal video, and this is going to be a long stream. We're going to be here for 3 hours tonight. We're going to get into a phenomenal video from Dialogue Works, phenomenal channel. You got to go subscribe to it. We're going to watch Lawrence Wilkerson, who worked in multiple presidential administrations, worked directly under Colin Powell, knows his shit. And Larry Johnson, ex-CIA guy, was in the CIA for like 30, 40 years, I believe. Super high-level former operative, goes all around the world. We're going to watch the unks break down what's going on. But I got a wide selection of people. I figured we'd start kind of, accessible. I want to go to Kyriakou and my father talking about what's going on or what's about to go on relating to Iran right now.
We've lost control of our own foreign policy. I've never felt that way before in my career, and I do today. I feel like we've ceded American foreign policy to Israeli interests. I mean, look at the U.S. ambassador in Jerusalem, former Governor Mike Huckabee. He might as well be the Israeli foreign minister. I just don't understand how it is that he's even able to represent American interests when his own personal.
Listen, he's Jonathan Pollard 2.0. He's been an Israeli asset forever. Guaranteed. This is, I mean, and I like Huckabee as a person and on conservative, but he is a
Why are we giving him that? Why are we saying that we like him, Dad? We don't have to do that. These people want nuclear war. I mean, come on.
absolute Israeli operative.
We've lost control of our own foreign force or aircraft carrier battle group as a hornet's nest, with the carrier itself the nest. And you've got all these hornets.
Okay, I don't think y'all heard me, so I want to make my point. I want to make it clear. Why are we saying that about him, Dad? Why are we giving him that credit? And I like him as a conservative, as a Republican, whatever. They want nuclear war. Huckabee laughs about it. Levin laughs about it. Shapiro laughs about it. They advocate for it. Levin's on video advocating for it like years back. Okay, Netanyahu's been saying they're going to have the bomb for 30 years. They want World War III. Why are we giving these people anything? And this is the thing, and it goes back to RFK. It's just like, well, everybody's our buddy. Everybody's our friend. We all want to have a fiscally conservative, socially liberal environment where we can declare war on whoever we want. And it's just like, no. We have to be principled. We have to be actually anti-war. Anyone that's pro-war, anyone that's pro a foreign government over America, they must be outright rejected. We don't like them in any regard if they're like that.
Flying around it. And the Hornets, though, are offensive. They have the ability to defend the nest, and they have the ability to defend themselves against conventional missiles. There's no clear defense against a hypersonic missile. The Iranians have them. They've purchased them from the Chinese. They've also purchased them from the Russians. Well, we're not sure that we can defend against an Iranian supersonic missile.
They also make them themselves. They're better at making missiles than we are. And this is the key. This is what you have to understand. We're going to get into it all tonight. This is going to be a high-level show. Just wait until we get into the high-level analysis. These clips are kind of duds. I didn't actually see them, but I like Kiriakou and I like my dad, so I wanted to play them. Here's what you have to understand about the modern military environment. And I'm a civilian. I'm a peacenik. I'm a hippie, really, at heart. Like I abhor violence. I'm not a fan of it in any means. And I think people that like war and brag about it, I think they're really weak. Okay, I think you're a pussy if you're pro-death. But the thing you have to understand is the American military in the West, by and large, the Europeans and the Americans, they invested heavily in avionics and aircraft carrier technology and having that air superiority and being able to run bombing campaigns that way. The other countries, specifically Russia, during the period of time, Soviet Union after, it's led forward into their modern theology today when it comes to military doctrine and what they do. They prioritize defensive technology, primarily missile defense and ballistic missiles of their own. And you can buy or you can make $1 million missile that destroys a $100 million plane or drone or whatever. So by doing that and by putting the limited resources, the fewer resources they had into something that was more effective, they've now outpaced us, especially in a defensive context. And we're going to see that. We saw that in the 12-day war. We saw Israel instigate that and then have to beg the Americans to intervene to stop it because they were getting tens of billions in property damage and a lot of people were dying. So we want to act like we have total operational superiority and we control the theater, we control the environment, we control nothing. Iran is a country of 92 million people. They lost 1.5 million people fighting Saddam Hussein, who we backed in the Iran-Iraq war. We haven't lost anything near that. How many soldiers did we lose? How many soldiers did we lose in Iraq and Afghanistan combined? I should know that. Over 7,000. Horrible, tragic, hate that. All American heroes, even if I don't support what the military is doing, people fighting, very brave, and they're just trying to defend their country. They really don't know any better. They're following orders. That's sad and sick to say, but it's true. 7,000 people lost compared to 1.5 million people. Which nation is more prepared for an actual war? Not a war we bombed the towel heads or whatever we want to call them. An actual war against people with uniforms, people with weapons that can hit our allies or hit Israel in this case. It's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. So let me go ahead and go to this. Well, we're going to play my dad's warning really quick, and then I want to get into the high-level analysis with commentary. I didn't know he did this today. Benny Johnson. Ugh.
But since this war with Iran seems to be popping off in just a moment, I'd love to get your take on it. What does it mean for where the country is headed? Clearly, the American First Movement doesn't want more quagmires and more forever wars.
Well, if you remember 2 weeks ago, Trump started evacuating people out of different embassies over the Middle East, and it was looking like they were going to strike them, but now we know that was to get intelligence to see where the Iranians sent weapons. It was to pick up signals intelligence, probably. This time it looks like they are getting ready to hit because the negotiations have fallen through and Iran is refusing to give up what the West says is its nuclear program. But even people like the founder of Blackwater, who's really smart, Eric Prince, has said he's a fan of the mullahs, but regime change isn't certain, and this could really cause some major.
Okay, so we're going to get into Lindsey Graham and all of them outright calling for regime change. They just say it now. They just say it's time for regime change, and that's what this is all really about, right? But Iran is going to build a nuclear weapon. Iran has a space program so they can build an ICBM to hit America. They're a week away. They're 2 weeks away. They're a couple months away, whatever it is. They've been saying it since 1995, and probably before that. That's just the earliest clip I've seen Netanyahu talking about it. Okay? They have a fatwa. They have a religious order against making one. They consider it to be a crime against God. Okay? And you can talk about their evil theology. They make the woman wear the hijab. They bonk them on the head. I don't like that. I love women. I think that's fucked up. But they have a religious order forbidding nuclear weapons. Israel has religious doctrine basically saying they should have as many as they want, and they're not signatory to any arms control treaty, and fuck you. And they'll threaten to use them like they did in the Yom Kippur War. And we've watched Jonathan Pollard, notorious Israeli spy, pardoned by Trump, sent over to Israel, kisses the tarmac, met on the tarmac by Netanyahu. Watch him go, yeah, we were losing and we were getting the arms shipments that we wanted. So the thing that we decided to do, the bold move on our end, we parked a jet on the runway with some unconventional weapons under the wings. And we told the Americans to look at it with their eye in the sky. And the next day, the weapon shipment started. And see, I can quote them. And that's how you have to be when you argue with these people. You have to be able to quote them. You guys, what's your source for that? You got a source? Oh, I can give you the source, actually. You ready for that, Mac? And then they literally have a panic attack. They shit their pants.
Problems, but regardless, I'm no fan of the mullahs myself, and so I would like to see them remove that. It is a dictatorship over their people. They're very unpopular. But China has shipped a lot of anti-ship missiles that our experts believe will be able to get through to the aircraft.
It don't even need to be Chinese crazy technology. We've already had aircraft theaters in the theater since last year, okay, or during last year. You remember when the Houthis were shutting down the global shipping? Houthis really the derogatory term. She called them Yemenis, which is what they are. When they were interfering with the shipping, we sent 2 aircraft carriers over there. They fired on one of the aircraft carriers, and the aircraft carrier had to take emergency evasive action. Guess what happened? F-16 at the bottom of the Red Sea. Does that sound like we're in control, that we're in charge of the situation? We moved away. We pulled the ships away in defeat and disgrace, and we called it a win. Okay, and that's the poorest country in Africa. I think Iran's not the poorest country in the region. Iran, even with the sanctions, even with all the abuse from the West, they're still very competent. So it's just the Chinese, the secret technology, the Russians, the secret technology. If the Yemeni people are able to put our avionics in the Red Sea, they're able to put our aircraft in the Red Sea, they're able to make our ships flinch and turn away, what are the Iranians going to be able to do? Explain that one to me. We'll go back to my dad.
Carriers. The question is, can the Iranians forward deploy them enough to get the Gerald R. Ford in the Mediterranean? But the other aircraft carrier is.
The Gerald R. Ford is going to stay where it's at or near where it's at. The Gerald R. Ford's job is to defend Israel. We're going to get into that with the high-level analysis. This is the thing. It's like, my dad's smart. I want to hear more. I really do.
Over by Iran and can be hit. And so if Iran does hit the aircraft carrier, we'll go to full war with Iran. And that could potentially lead to World War III because it has a defense deal with China, North Korea, and Russia. So that's really some of the major dangers here. But as you said, the massing of forces there is much bigger than what we saw last year during the little 7-8 day, operation.
12-day war. Come on, Dad. This is literally called the 12-day war.
We saw between Iran and Israel. So this is a very, very dangerous moment in history. And from all of my sources, it's really up to Trump. Up until the last minute, he could decide to give the order or not give the order. If you remember, we were told 5 or 6 times that we were going to go into Venezuela and that tomorrow would be the day. And that kind of got them to where they were complacent. And then finally, when it did happen, we caught them with their pants down. And of course, U.S. military, regardless of what you thought of that, did an excellent, really almost perfect job. And so that's what we're looking at right here. This is a big deal.
Okay. Now, let's go to high-level analysis because I provide midwit analysis. That was kind of midwit analysis that we just watched. Let's watch people that actually know what they're talking about. This is my favorite channel. This is Dialogue Works. Close second, Judge Napolitano, but I like Nima as an interviewer. I really enjoy it. Let's watch this for a while. And let's just, I'm going to shut up. Let's think about what they're saying. And I'll shut up. I'll probably pause it 5 minutes in. We'll go ahead and watch it.
Hi, everybody. Today's Friday, February 27th, 2026, and our dear friends, Larry Johnson and Coral Wilkerson are here with us. Welcome back, Larry and Larry.
Glad we made it to Friday. I'm not so sure about Monday.
Yeah, you got to start saying, Neiman, welcome back, Larry Squared.
Exactly. Yeah, please hit like button, helping us reaching more people. And let me start, Larry, with you, because we had the negotiations happening between Iran and the United States in Geneva, mediated by Omanis. And here is what the Iranian foreign minister said about the negotiations. For more than 6 hours, hours and a half. It was 4 hours, then they got some break, and then the second round of negotiations. Here is what he said.
Much, Minister Akshi, what is your assessment of today's negotiations?
Well, we had a very intensive, detailed discussion today, and I think we made a very good progress. It was for the first time that we had almost 6-7 hours of talks.
6-7 hours. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a Zoomer. I'm sorry.
Both in the morning and the afternoon. It was still indirect. And I'm very thankful to the Foreign Minister of Oman for doing.
I don't know what's the issue with this sound. It's so low. That's why let me say what he said. He said that the outcome was somehow positive and they were progressing. They were somehow advancing in the negotiations, which was reflected by the Omani foreign minister. Then today, as we talk today, we see a lot of signs that the attack is coming. Something big is about to happen. Larry, what is your understanding of the current situation?
Arachi reminds me of a young Marine in the Philippines. A couple of my buddies who had Marines under their command told me about this. The Marine shows up and says, I met this girl, sir. I love her. We're going to get married. Well, she's a bar girl, which is a polite way of calling her a hooker. And the young Marine really believes that she loves him. And she's just using him. That's exactly what happened to Arachi with these so-called negotiations in Geneva. Because right now, as we're speaking, Kazakhstan is shutting its embassy in Iran. The British shutting their embassy in Iran. The warning, Baghdad. U.S. is evacuating its personnel from Baghdad. What do you think that means? That means we're going to war. Well, once again, and I draw another cartoon metaphor. Iran is turning out to be Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. Lucy would say, oh, Charlie, come on, this time, I'm really for sure this time. And Charlie comes running up to kick it. Boom, misses, falls on his ass. We saw this a year ago, April 2025. Witkoff goes in and negotiates, comes out and basically says, yeah, we got a deal that will allow Iran to retain some measure of enrichment. 24 hours later, after he'd gotten the hell beat out of him by the Zionist lobby, he did a complete reversal. Oh, no enrichment whatsoever. If you're going to go into a negotiation, the other side's got to understand that what you say goes, and you can deliver on what you promise. Witkoff can't. They cannot. And I think this is an entire charade that's preparing for, I don't know if it's going to be Sunday or Monday, but the United States is going to attack Iran.
Yeah. Carl, what do you make of it?
I agree with Larry. I will say a couple of things that I think we're not considering, unless perhaps General Kane in his alleged warning to Trump considered it. And that is that we may indeed have the makings of a very serious war here. And I was talking with you beforehand, as you know. I think Scott Ritter made a mistake in his typical Marine, if I may say so, in his assessment of Russia and China's capabilities. Russia and China together have over 100 submarines. Those submarines are some of the most capable submarines in the world, attack and ballistic missile. But I'm talking here mostly about attack, which is about 40 in each fleet. They're superior submarines. The only ones in the world that match them and in some cases outclass them, mostly based on leadership of the skipper of the boat, are ours. All to say that the Northern Arabian Sea, after studying at the Naval War College for 3 years, 2 courses, the Northern Arabian Sea has some of the best convergence zones, temperatures, salinity levels, and so forth to negate both active and passive sonar, which is to say subs can hide there better than any other water on the face of the earth, other than being under the ice in the Arctic or the Antarctic. So you're looking at the possibility of a Russian, even a Chinese. Oh, by the way, did I say that the Chinese have a number of very quiet diesel electric boats, which would have no problem making that distance? People look at me and say, are you kidding me? I said, go back and look at what we did in the Pacific in World War II. We had 5,000 mile, 2 legs, 10,000 mile total diesel electric submarine patrols. We patrolled all the way to the Formosa Straits, the South China Sea, the Yellow Sea, the Sea of Japan, and we sunk boats there and came home. Tang and Wahoo were incredible at that sort of thing, the 2 best killers in World War II. So all to say, you can hide in the North Arabian Sea where no one can find you. Not even an attack sub from America can find you. In fact, you can be lying right beside each other and not know it. That's how difficult it is to find a sub in that way. So how about I come out there, maybe a Chinese and a Russian boat, maybe I come out there and I spread 6 Waycoming torpedoes out and kill a U.S. aircraft carrier. And then who knows? Was that an Iranian high velocity missile or 2? Or was that a submarine? I mean, they have the capacity to respond in a way that would be devastating. Not to say that we wouldn't eventually discover or think we had discovered the methodology used, and maybe that would be a bigger war, but don't discount their capability to do things. And I find people all the time discounting submarines. Most lethal weapon on the face of the earth, whether it's a ballistic missile sub with enough nuclear warheads to destroy us, or whether it's
And see, listen to all the factors that they're explaining right now. They're talking about the embassy pullouts. I haven't heard that mentioned anywhere else except for resources like these guys, like these unks breaking it down. They're talking about the submarine tech. He's going to get into it. We have no idea what we're walking into here. The bullshit, naive American assumption is like, we're the biggest thing in the woods. We got the biggest sword. We're the fastest. We're the strongest. We can just walk into whatever dark corner we want. And even if we can't see, even if we don't know what monsters are around us, we can just go in there and annihilate anything because we're the strongest. Maybe that was the case at one point. It's not the case anymore. And it's not that there are things that are that much bigger or badder than us in the woods. We're older. We've slowed down. Our eyesight is gone. We're fat. We have diabetes. It's the analogy. It's the metaphor of Uncle Sam. And if you think about Uncle Sam right now, he's basically on life support. He's on like 11 different cardiac drugs. He's on insulin. He can't walk. He needs a mobility scooter. And yeah, he's still got big arms and he can still throw a sword around and he can still slay some goblins and some dragons, but he can't fight a near peer adversary anymore, especially so far away from home. There are so many factors that go into this and what it actually means to get embroiled in the conflict. And, oh, we're just going to do strikes. We're just going to drop bombs and leave. Well, how does that accomplish real change? Because we did that back in June. We dropped the biggest bombs we had in June, and we're back there a year later. Really good analysis from these guys. I just polluted by talking. Let's watch more of it.
An attack sub, which can be quite stealthy, especially in these waters. So this is a lot more complicated, I think, than Scott was presenting it in terms of Russia and China's capacity to do things that initially we wouldn't even know what had been done, except the aircraft carrier was on the bottom of the ocean.
Hey, I missed what did Scott say? Can you just give a Reader's Digest version?
He just kind of, he was on your show, I think. He just kind of said that he didn't think Russia or China would intervene in any substantial way.
Oh,
and
boy.
He said his hint was that it wasn't in their capability to do so, and I don't believe that at all.
Yeah,
he said no. He said, Larry, in addition to what Colonel just said, he said that no army has the capabilities when it comes to the attack as the United States has. And he said that if the United States goes in, it goes all in, and they're gonna be most devastating than any army on the earth. That's why Russia and China may not intervene and may not,
Yeah, I love Scott like a brother, but
yeah, we all love him. He's not criticizing,
but
Scott.
he's so wrong on this if for no other reason. And I've had a conversation with a friend who's still active duty and involved with these operations, and his attitude was, the China, why would the Chinese want to help the ragheads? That's essentially what he said. Why would they want to help them? And I said, well, they've developed technologies that are for combat, for defending themselves. And they've never been applied in a real combat environment. So absolutely, they get to test it now in Iran. And they get to test it against the very country that's been threatening them. Yep. Absolutely. Why do you think they've deployed long-range air defense missiles to Iran reportedly? They've deployed this advanced 3D radar that can see out to 430 miles from Iran that is mobile, difficult to detect. The Russians have been providing reportedly S-300, S-400 air defense systems. The importance of Iran now as a critical economic crossroads for both China and Russia as they construct this new world international economic order is Iran is just not some other country out there. I mean, it is a critical crossroads for the future. And that's why both Russia and China have been very active in providing support. And the way that this U.S. force is being portrayed around Iran is very, very misleading. They say, well, we got an armada of ships. We got one friggin' aircraft carrier with 3 destroyers. Please. They may have a submarine out there, likely. They can fire 100 Tomahawk cruise missiles. But that aircraft carrier and those 3 destroyers, very limited capability because they're staying, 1,700 to 1,000 miles offshore. If they go close to shore, because they'll need to do that in order for the F-35Cs that are on both the aircraft carriers to operate, they only got a combat range of 600 miles. So they can fly out 600 miles. They need to be refueled. I don't see any U.S. tankers, KC-135s, flying over Iran and saying, oh, yeah, guys, with the gas stations here. They'll get shot down. So that means they have to be fueled offshore. Well, and you got the same problem with the deployment of the F-35As that are at Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia and Mawafaq Salti in Jordan. Again, to get to the border of Iran is about a 700-mile flight for these guys. And then they got another 267 miles to go from the border to get to Tehran. So what we've deployed an impressive number of aircraft, 1/3 of the U.S. Air Force squadrons of F-35s. However, the operational requirements to make them combat effective in a hostile environment, I think that's one of the reasons General Kane was saying, this is a lot of risk here. No kidding. This is incredibly complex. And we haven't even begun to count what there's been one map published which shows about 100 different air defense system radars deployed north to south along that western border. This is madness. This is absolute madness with the United States.
And let's not forget, even the commercial satellite companies, the Chinese ones, they've already published the location of all of the air defense batteries, or at least most of the ones that we can see. We're not like the Iranians where we have, caves and stuff in the region or mountains where we can hide things. It's all out there in the open. How's that going to end?
States is getting ready to do.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't have said it as well. Granted, Scott's right in the sense that if we mustered everything we have and slammed it all into Iran, we could do some devastating damage. Meanwhile, Iran would be eliminating the state of Israel. But even saying that, what do you follow up with? Where are the forces you're going to put on the ground to make sure that whatever you did is consolidated and is to your advantage? Where are they? I'll tell you where they are. They're the same place those young men and women on Ford are. They're ready to mutiny in some cases because things have been so damn bad for them. You know, here's a message I got from a sailor this morning. I'm going to read it to you verbatim because it's so true. The USS Gerald Ford has been at sea for 241 days. Her deployment has been extended twice. She is now heading back toward the Middle East for a third time. Sailors are missing funerals, missing births, missing their children's first steps. The ship's sewage system is failing, which we all know about, requiring maintenance calls every single day and acid flushes costing $400,000 each. Crew members are telling reporters they want to quit the Navy. Morale is described in terms that defense journalists have not used since Vietnam. This deployment is on track to reach 11 months. The post-Vietnam record is 294 days, set by Abraham Lincoln during COVID in 2020. The Ford will break it, and she is not coming home. That's where we are with that. That's just one ship. Yes, but it's a capital ship. It's a major ship, and it's necessary for these operations if they're going to be, like Scott was asserting, you know, the full thing we can throw at them. I suspect there are other ships in similar conditions because I know how poorly the Navy's recruiting record lists itself over the past 6-7 years. 40% short in the U.S. Naval Reserve, where a lot of critical assets are, and 10 to 15% in the active force.
Larry, do you feel that they're going to use the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford in an offensive, or they're going to use it to defend Israel?
Oh, no, it's there to defend Israel. I mean, if it's in the Med, it's not. It has no offensive capability towards Iran. Because again, let's understand the distances we're talking about. When that F-35 takes off, it can fly for 600 miles, and then it's empty. It needs to be refueled. And so you have to calculate in there probably that when it's reached 500 miles, that's when you start refueling. You don't wait till you're on empty. But so the distance from Tel Aviv to Iran, it's about 1,600. It's well over 1,000 miles. So just from the standpoint of could they deliver any attack effectively? Now, if they're carrying, they're also the F-35s can carry what's called a JASSM, and it's an air-guided missile, air-to-ground missile, and it has an effective range around, they say 550, but let's round it down to 500. So that does give the planes a bit of standoff, but they're not taking into account the fact that the S-300 and S-400 are very capable, specifically designed to intercept those kinds of missiles. And in fact,
and that's the thing, right? It's the American attitude. It's fueled by the Top Gun movies and the Fast and Furious and all of it. It's like, we have the best technology. We can do whatever we want. None of these other nations can stand up against us. The Russians are very good at air defense, and the Iranians have all of their systems. So just listen to the expert. Don't listen to me. I'm just a yapper. He's got a bad case of cedar fever right now.
In my understanding, some JASSMs have been used on the battlefield in Ukraine, and Russia has been able to shoot them down. So they're bringing not just theoretical knowledge, but their actual experience in doing this. But let's go back to what Colonel Wilkerson was pointing out. What the hell is the objective? I mean, this isn't, hey, let's just get together and get out and blow shit up. What's the objective? And we've seen, with Operation Rough Rider in Yemen last March, they had one clear objective: establish freedom of navigation, so that any ship that sailed into the Red Sea could sail wherever it wanted to go without fear of being attacked. That's a very clear, specific objective. The U.S. failed to achieve it. We failed with 2 aircraft carriers, for God's sake. So, now we're going to transform Iran, which is, 9 times the physical size of Yemen, and with one aircraft carrier that's going to be engaged with offensive operations, just one, and it has to stay far enough offshore so it doesn't get sunk. These guys have watched too many Top Gun movies, is what I think.
Yeah. Another aspect of it that people aren't really considering, Larry suggested this in his earlier remarks. Think 1936 Spain, when people were testing their equipment, especially the Nazis. And think about this when you're thinking about Russia and China. Now, Russia's tested its ground capacity really well in Ukraine, but it hasn't tested its naval capacity to any great degree. It's had some problems with it, submarines and surface boats, but not a lot. And Russia's got, as I said, a pretty formidable submarine fleet. And I dare anybody to tell me that instantly, or even in a week or two, they could tell what had actually sunk U.S. combatants. I dare them. They'll lie and say they can, but they won't be able to. Not unless somebody is videotaping the wake of the torpedo hitting the stern of the carrier or whatever. And they're not going to be able to do that very well because the torpedoes most sophisticated travel very deep and don't show a surface wake and only come up and hit when they're under their target.
Larry, Politico reported that maybe the attack would be an Israeli attack supported by the United States. When it comes to the public opinion in the United States, more than 70% of the people, they don't support a new war in the Middle East against Iran. And how can they change this sort of mindset on the part of the American people? Is that going to be a trick to be used in this war? That the Iranian would obviously fight back and they're going to hit, the United States and Israel. That's why some people would argue that that could be the main goal. Israel going first, Iran attacks, and some people get killed, and then the United States enters a conflict.
No, you can't rule that out. The lies that have been told repeatedly to the American people about Iran are they're staggering. They keep insisting, Iran's the #1 sponsor of terrorism. No, it's not. I mean, that's just a flat out lie. But most Americans believe it. They believe that Iran has been, consistently attacking the United States and ignoring the fact that particularly Iran's military operations in Syria were directed at the very radical Islamists that ostensibly attacked us on 9/11. And so what should have been a natural alliance between the United States and Iran has been hindered, and it's been hindered by the Zionists. And, I do not put it past them to maybe stage an attack on one of the U.S. ships and have it blamed on Iran. Because if the story is told, hey, we were minding our own business and we were attacked out of the blue, therefore let's, we got to go destroy Iran. Now, the problem with this is the U.S. doesn't have that capability, short of using nuclear weapons. We've already established the limitations of U.S. naval power last March in the Red Sea. And there we had 2 aircraft carriers. You had at least 4 destroyers. You had 1 cruiser. And there may have even been additional ships of those categories. We had air supremacy. I mean, we controlled the air. And with all of that, and we had our exceptional satellite intelligence. And yet with all of that, we had difficulty locating mobile missile launchers, which is why we put MQ-9 Reapers into Yemen to look, because they could find it and then they could shoot. The only problem was the Yemenis got pretty damn good at shooting down our Reapers. They were shooting down 1 a week. Yeah. And that was over almost $250,000 worth of Reapers in the toilet. We saw the chaos of combat where apparently friendly fire, we shot down one of our own F-18s. And then, we never got the full story about the other one that rolled off of an aircraft carrier deck.
Oh, so we're shooting down our own planes. We're losing things off the aircraft carrier. We're fucking up everywhere, but we're capable. We can handle it all. I'm going to shut up just more high level analysis from these guys.
Too fast.
Yeah.
We're too fast and in too narrow a rotation because of the Red Sea.
Yeah. Yeah. Why would that be, huh? See, so, I mean, this notion that we've got some great invincibility, as Andrei Martyanov has consistently noted and correctly noted, we haven't won a damn thing since World War II. When, we went into Panama and we roughed up the Panamanians and captured Noriega. When I never saw Muhammad Ali strutting around saying, hey, I beat up the kid in the wheelchair, but that's us. We like to take care of the weak and those that can't really defend themselves. And then we use that to boost our own reputation.
Yeah. Nima, if I were doing some of the things I used to do for Powell that he used to say he kept me around for, operational out of the box thinking was what he called it. If I were run, I would let Israel attack me and then destroy them. And then if the United States came in, only then would I start attacking U.S. assets. But I would take the opportunity. I've been attacked. Israel attacked me to destroy them. I think they could do it in 6 or 7 days. Would we get our act together sufficiently to re-coordinate? Because we probably have to re-coordinate and calibrate what we're going to do, because I don't think I see a plan here. I really don't.
Yeah.
And the plan was exquisite for Venezuela for one particular reason, I think. I'm all the time bad-mouthing SOF, Special Operation Forces, but they do their little missions, and I don't mean that in a derisive fashion. I mean, they have little missions. They don't have big, full-blown operational military missions. They do them quite well, quite precisely, and if it all goes on time and goes as planned, then they usually are successful. That's not the way this kind of war is. This is big stuff, and we don't have a record lately of doing big stuff very well. So if I were to run, I'd do that. I'd go right after Israel. I wouldn't hit a single U.S. or Arab asset until it actually became apparent the U.S. was in it too.
Yeah. Larry, there is a footage that shows a large number of U.S. Air Force refueling tankers that are stationed in Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. How safe is that going to be? Are they going to stay there if something happens, or they're going to move them around?
Well, they believe that the Patriot missile defense and Iron Dome and the FADs will protect them. Bad assumption. They'll find out that they were wrong. There really is a tendency to grossly underestimate the capabilities of both Iran and Russia and China. You know, the Western arrogance in this regard is just it's completely undeserved. You know, it'd be one thing if we were like repeat Super Bowl champs and we could strut around like, hey, we're pretty damn good because, you know, we've won 3 Super Bowls. But, you know, when you look at our failures in Afghanistan, failures in Iraq, failure in Vietnam, you know, it piles up. And I think Iran is prepared to destroy those air assets. And let's understand, you know, so every one KC-135, my understanding is in a combat environment or situation, they can refuel, one tanker can refuel 4 planes before it has to peel off. And again, this isn't a 2 or 3 minute process.
No.
You know, it takes some time to line up, get connected, and get the fuel going. Well, now multiply that times 168 F-35s that have been deployed, at least. And on top of that, 20 F-22s. So we have assembled a massive air force or air capability. But then when you get down to how do they actually carry out the mission? This is not, you know, it's not like the latest version of the Top Gun movie where, you know, Tom Cruise, they're flying in through the mountains of Iran and they're, you know, dropping shit here and there. No, it's not going to be like that. And, you know, I am making some assumptions here. I am assuming that as a result of the events of last June, Iran has learned some important lessons, that, you know, the majority of the attacks that took place on ground radars and air defense systems were actually ground attacks from groups that had been infiltrated into Iran. I don't think they've got that problem this time. I think the counterintelligence elements in the Iranian intelligence service have been quite active since last June, and now especially since the protests in early January. So this is, you know, the United States is, we read our own press and convince ourselves that we're really as good as we claim we are. And then, as you know, Colonel Wilkerson with the letter he read, you know, we always wondered why they called it on those old sailing ships the poop deck. Well, okay, poop is the French word for deck, so they weren't really defecating on it. But on the U.S. Gerald Ford, they certainly are. So if we can't, if we can't keep a plumbing system working on a $13 billion aircraft carrier, how are we going to do all these other magnificent things that are actually more complex? That's what I don't get.
16 billion now.
Oh, 16, my bad.
Ford's the most expensive boat ever, or ship ever built.
Colonel, when it comes to the aircraft carrier Gerald Ford, do you think that what has happened is something structural, something that has happened during the years, or the soldiers on the, you know, the crew are not happy with the situation, and you've mentioned 8 months being on, you know, far away from, you know, their families, and that's why they're not happy with the whole situation, that they may did this because they want to get back home?
From what I'm hearing, and it's anecdotal, but I think it's pretty sound, it's both. The system is flawed. It should never have been designed and built the way it was for such an enormous floating ship. And you got so many people that I don't think they really put the two things together, the size of the ship and the number of people and the number of times the people would have to urinate or go to the bathroom, whatever. And so they designed a system that is really easily clogged, and at the same time, probably in and of itself is inadequate for the ship, its size and density of population. So I think the sailors took advantage of that, though, and they started stuffing things in it, T-shirts, things like that, because they were sick and tired of no port calls, sick and tired of, if it were a port call, 24 hours and half the crew didn't even get to go. It's probably a little bit of both. I don't know that for sure, but I suspect it's a little bit of both bad design and irritated troops.
Yeah. Larry, it was in the news that the U.S. military most expensive drone, it's called Triton and something like that, $230 million has reportedly vanished near Iran.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the same case of the Beast of Kandahar or something like that? Or what is the news on that? What is realistic about that? Is that why?
Yeah, no, I think the U.S. it was either shot down or the Iranians took control of it.
Yeah,
and they
$230 million drone. Oh, we don't know where it is, and we're never going to find out where it is. By the way, I bet they did actually take it. I mean, like I hope we're listening to this actually, because I'm listening to it. I watched this earlier today. I'm watching it for the second time now. This is where I go to get a lot of my positions and informations. I go listen to the old heads talk about stuff. I mean, we shouldn't be involved in this, right?
done that before. I mean, this the Shahed drone is modeled after what was a CIA drone that the Iranians brought down intact back in 2011, 2012. So, when you get into this arena, plagiarism is a good thing. If you can copy off of somebody else, you're not going to get an F from the professor. I know with your students, you'd punish them, but in the field of intelligence and military technology, if you can copy something off of somebody else that's got something great, go for it. Do it.
Yeah, Chinese are great at that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting, Nima. I don't know if you saw that movie back there a few years ago that kind of suggested this when the F-35 was still not quite as bad as it looks now. What if they capture the F-35, fly it into a mountain, fly it into the ground, fly it out to sea? I mean, in this movie, there's a suggestion that, and I'm told the Air Force and Lockheed in particular have done something about this, but they actually took over the aircraft and flew it in the movie. And then it came out that actually could be done. From the ground, you take over the aircraft because the system is so sophisticated and so vulnerable in that sense. I'm told they repaired that. They fixed it. They put a patch in, whatever you have to do. But let's suppose, as Larry said, the Iranians have figured out how to do that, how to capture the airplane.
Yeah, and let's note also as well that the Russians, Chinese have pretty advanced. Well, their electronic warfare capabilities far superior to ours. And again, with Russia, it's combat tested. They've tested it under fire, so they bring that expertise to the table as well.
That's something that people are forgetting too, is that Russia's probably the most experienced military in the world now, and you can bet that experience, where it's relevant, is being shared with their friends and allies.
Larry, I want to bring up in another argument that Scott said on my podcast, that is, the American army is much more prepared than Russians or Iranians or Chinese, and that's why they may bring some sort of game-changing, operations with the case of Iran. Is that the case? How prepared? How you compare the armies, both of you?
How could he say that? Based on what? I mean, the United States, we've got our experience over the last 25 years has been fighting tribesmen, whether in Iraq or in Afghanistan. So they're not organized armies with a well-defined chain of command, wearing uniforms, with base installations, etc. These are sort of like my ancestors fighting the Brits back in 1776. They're farmers, they're herders, and so we weren't effective against them. I mean, yeah, we could bring in more firepower against guys that were carrying rifles, essentially, but we've shown no experience whatsoever in being able to effectively maneuver against a peer. In fact, the counteroffensive, so-called counteroffensive in Ukraine that was launched in June of 2023 was not the result of Ukrainian planning. That was planned by NATO, U.S. officers. They planned it and executed it, and it failed. And the failure, I mean, this is what I found astonishing. I mean, I don't claim to be von Clausewitz or Sun Tzu, but I do have enough understanding to know that if you're going to launch an offensive, a ground offensive against well-entrenched forces that have, they've got fortifications, they've got interlocking bands of fire, they've got artillery. You damn well better have some air power with you to soften it up along with artillery. And that air power's got to include close air support. They didn't have that at all. They didn't make it a requirement. Oh, this will work out. We'll be at the Sea of, I mean, we saw Petraeus and Hodges and Jack Keane and all these clowns. Oh, we're going to be at the Sea of Azov in August. Didn't happen. So I don't know where Scott gets his, positive assessment from. I haven't, we haven't seen it in terms of the actual performance of the U.S. military.
Yeah. Colonel, the other point Scott brought up is that the conflict, the main problem for the United States would be the sustainability of the conflict. You go all in, then how long can you sustain the intensity of your attacks, which is one of the most important questions right now for any attack, for any planner on the part of the United States. How do you find that?
Well, I have heard, and again, it's anecdotal. Well, in some cases, it's a little better than anecdotal, that one of the reasons Kane, if he did, and I suspect this is probably accurate, that he did in fact make some remonstrance to the president about this might not be as easy as you think, was because he had people go out, a team go out and tour what would be not just RTX, Lockheed, Grumman, and other main contractor facilities, but tour what was available. And one of the states he went to in particular was Arkansas, what was available to increase, ramp up production in a timely fashion. And he got a very sour picture. And so when Larry says, or anyone says, we have only a limited supply of Patriots, a limited supply of this, that, and the other thing, and Israel is going to use a lot of those themselves, they're right. What do you do when a week into the war, you ain't got no bullets left?
Yeah. I mean, it's just a simple math problem. And that's why I'm sort of astonished that our so-called planners failed to comprehend this. So an inbound missile from, say, if Iran fires a missile at Israel or at our bases where we have our forces based in Saudi Arabia or Jordan, that Patriot missile battery or the THAAD, they're going to have to fire a minimum of 2 missiles to deal with one inbound. Well, as we've seen during the 12-day war, Iran doesn't just fire 1 or 2, they fire 50 to 100. Well, okay, just do the math right there. At a minimum, if they're firing 200, you're up 400 Patriot missiles. Oh, so why does that matter? Because annual production of a Patriot missile, not the launcher, but the actual missile, 700 a year. So there in one day, in one engagement, you'll use up 60% of an annual production in just that one day. What happens if they repeat that for 3 or 4 more days? And the same with the destroyers. They carry 96 cells of these vertical launch systems that are in the deck. I guess, 50 in front and 46 in the back. And once they fire the missile that's loaded in there, the only way they can reload that is they have to go to a port that has a crane and facilities to reload. So all of a sudden, again, I can easily imagine a scenario in which Iran launches 200 drones accompanied by 20 missiles at one of the destroyers. Yeah, and they may shoot most of that down, but when it's over, they're depleted. Again, and now they've got to sell out back. And if they sell out, the carrier's got to go with them because the carrier can't stand out there by itself because it needs those destroyers, in theory, to defend it. I mean, this isn't complicated stuff, but by God, we've created a Rube Goldberg system of defense. Very expensive, very fragile, that it doesn't work under optimal combat conditions, and it's logistically very, very costly. It's a system designed to make contractors wealthy.
Colonel, how do you feel about the British government? Are they going to be part of the attack? Are they going to, because we've learned from the British fighter jets are coming, or in Israel, in Cyprus, and all of these news coming out. How do you see the British being part of this, or not? They're not going to get that involved.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. They're stupid enough to. Apparently, they've shown that over Ukraine and other theaters. But I don't think it's going to be decisive in any way. They'll get themselves shot out of the air too. As Larry was talking, I was going back to a moment we had with Secretary Perry and General Gary Luck on the peninsula in Korea. It was a very heightened tension, very heightened tension. We thought we were going to war. In fact, when we met with Secretary Perry, this was my Marine Corps War College seminar. When we met with Perry, he essentially said he was very afraid we were going to war. Luck was not quite as tentative about it or as disturbed about it, but he was disturbed. We talked about 1,000 artillery rounds, or 1,000 artillery pieces, howitzers essentially, in the mountains that would come out and get at least 10 rounds off before his F-16s and other ROK Air Force assets could get them. And that was a deal too, that they were going to get all of them at one time. Those rounds would hit Greater Seoul, and you got 250,000 Americans there and so forth. And we finally got everybody to admit that this was a very tenuous situation. Now, I served on the peninsula. I served with the 2nd Infantry Division. I was there when the tree came down, for example. I saw how unready we were for an attack across the DMZ. I saw how unready we were. So we're sitting there talking to them about, okay, let's say their military moves at the same time. They invest Seoul. They pretty much got it burning, destroyed it. And they say, we're finished. You want your capital city back or whatever? We'll go to negotiations for it. Sort of like we did when the first Korean War ended, or ended in terms of real fighting and went on to talks. People don't think that way. Oh, yes, they do. And maybe you might have a situation like that exist, plus your unreadiness for it. And that's, like I said, I saw unreadiness for it.
Okay, we've done enough of that. We've hung out enough. Watch 45 minutes of it. I highly recommend you go to Dialogue Works and you subscribe to the channel. You can find this video, Larry C. Johnson and Colonel Larry Wilkerson, Larry squared, Iran, U.S. talks on the edge, video title. In the Gray Area Talks account, but I'll go ahead and subscribe to them now. I'm subscribed to them on my personal. Really recommend getting some info from these guys in the long term. I always check in with them weekly and see what they have to say. What is the dear leader saying? What is our illustrious president, the dear leader, the mandate from heaven emperor? What does he have to say about the whole situation?
Killed over the last 2-3 months. Protesters, 32,000. That's some number of people.
No evidence for this. No evidence for the 32,000. No photo, no video, no footage of mass graves, no footage of mass executing, Mossad CIA chiefs running things down on the ground, executing agitators that are attacking IRGC members in the streets. And I've watched all the videos. You can't tell me it doesn't happen. But 32,000, we just invent this number. We say it's real. Lancet study says 6 figures of people, mostly women and children, killed in Gaza. We don't care about that. It's the hypocrisy of it all. If the genocide wasn't happening and this was happening or happening to a lesser extent, if you wanted to exaggerate it so you could go in there and be the good guy, I mean, it's a lot more defensible. But this is just an outright lie.
32,000. They want to make a deal, but got to make a deal that's meaningful. I spoke with Ted Cruz, John, all of them.
Talking to Ted Cruz Missile about what needs to be done. What do you think Ted Cruz Missile is going to say?
On the way here, I said, well, you got to make a deal that's meaningful. We hit him real hard, as you know, with those beautiful B-2 bombers.
I am so sick of this shit. We hit him hard with the big, beautiful bombers, and you can already hear people start to cheer. And it's the primordial tribal element of leader takes us to war. And I thought we moved past that. We should never be cheering for these things, okay? Like, if you want to honor American soldiers that died during some military operation, it should have never happened. That's one thing. I hate the pro-war culture in this country, and I want to talk to people about it. Why do people feel this way about the genocidal, murderous, barbaric actions that we take all across the globe? Let me tell you why. Because it doesn't happen back here. Because we're safe. We're insulated. We have fish to our left and right, and to our north and south, we have very weak neighbors. So we're insulated from all of this. To us, a horrific conflict is like 7,000 soldiers dying in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's disgusting. We are the Wally people of the world. Well, Europeans are more than us, but still.
Recently knocked out their nuclear capability. But I'd rather do it the peaceful way, but they're very difficult people. I want to tell you that.
We just knocked out their nuclear capability. I'd rather do it the peaceful way, but they're very difficult people. What? So the site is obliterated, which was a smart move for him to say, even though the sites weren't obliterated. He says they're obliterated in order to stop further conflict last year. Looks like the proverbial finger in the dike didn't work. Looks like the stopgap measure failed because he's being pushed into full conflict. And this is the problem with half measures. This is why he should have refused in the first place. And, you know, Israel should have taken their licks from Iran and moved on, but they couldn't do it. They could not do it. And this will lead to the state's destruction. I'm telling you right now. More of dear leader.
We're going to see. Look, it'd be wonderful if they negotiate really in good conscience, good faith and conscience, but they are not getting there.
I'm sorry. Like when we use the IAEA international nuclear inspectors to spy on the Iranians to get intelligence on them, and then Israel uses that data to strike. Is that how they can't be trusted? Do they act like us? It's so sick. It really is sick.
So far, Peter, they're not getting it.
And has your team told you that if you use the military now, that there will be regime change right away?
No, nobody's told me that. You don't know. I mean, nobody knows. There might be, and there might not be.
And that is how he likes to keep people. He likes to keep people off guard. Maybe that's the one saving grace, because like the genuine indecision that Trump has, and I think it is genuine, it has prevented, at least at this point, with like the pulling in and pulling out and the attack and the leave, even though I'm very against it and still consider it to be war crime, demonic, immoral, not what I voted for. He doesn't have the commitment required. And I think especially if we get into a conflict, it's a thing of where like, let's say an aircraft carrier gets hit, and let's say 100 sailors die. What does he do? Does he really go to full war, or does he pull out? I think he might pull out and tuck tail and return in disgrace. I think that elements of the military led by him would be highly against that. I think they would push him to stay involved in the conflict, but I think we're going to provoke. I think we're going to get hit. I don't think Trump's ready for it. And then at that point, you know, maybe that's naive for me. Maybe the military advisors and the real people running things behind the scenes just take control. But I thought the president was the president. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
It'd be nice if we could do it without, but sometimes you have to do it with. When you look at we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. There's nothing close. I'd love not to use it, but sometimes you have to. Fact that they're not willing to give us what we have to have, so I'm not thrilled with that. We'll see what happens. We're talking later. We'll have some additional talks today.
My dad used to say around the office, meetings about meetings. We're always having meetings about meetings. Trump teases a very big decision on Iran. We have a very big decision to make. We have a country that's been for 47 years blowing people's legs off, arms off. It's been terrible. Doesn't name Iran directly, but everyone in the room knew exactly what he was talking about.
We're hot. Our country is the hottest country in the world.
I know the president's supposed to say good things about the country. How many times are you going to say the same shit? Everyone's struggling. You're about to take us to war, and you got to talk about how great it is for the billionaire class. I mean, come on, man. Man, I'm sick of this. I'm so sick of him already. In the same way I was sick of Joe Biden, I'm sick of Donald J. Trump.
America is back. Our economy is roaring, and our country is strong, and we're respected again. They're respecting us again. China respects us. Russia respects us. They all respect, and they respect your president. They respect, and I respect them. Got a lot.
Complete child, and they're respecting you in the sense of they're flattering you, Mr. Trump, because they see America slitting its wrists, and why would they get away? It's very Confucianist, right? Oh, damn. Cedar fever's got me down, especially from the Chinese. Why would the Chinese interfere with anything we're doing right now? We are on a managed decline, a steady, very, very rapid now managed decline. What? They respect us. They love us now. Of course they do. You're doing everything they've ever wanted. You're creating the multipolar world, as our guest Simon Dixon said. Wow.
A lot of things going on. Now we have a big decision to make. You know that. Not easy. Not easy. We have a very big decision to make. We have a country that's been For 47 years, blowing people's legs off, arms off, the face. They've been knocking out ships, killing people, lots of people, not only Americans, lots of people. It's been terrible. We're hot. Our country is.
Okay, it's the same story we've heard a million times. And he's very vague deliberately. Someone who's not vague, Lady G, Lindsey Graham says, to any deal maker regarding Iran, please understand your deal will have to come to the Senate and be tested. When it comes to matters like this, it's not about a political party to me. It's about Israel. I'm going to ask you hard questions no matter who presents the deal. To say I'm suspicious of that Ayatollah and his regime will change and keep their word is the biggest understatement in history. I would like caution whoever anything that comes from Oman. Oh, okay. We want to talk about Oman. Let's talk about Doha. Okay, let's talk about the negotiations that were supposed to go on between Hamas and between the Americans. The Americans don't show up. Hamas, the negotiation team, the leadership team, they're in Doha. They get missile striked. A lot of them die. You go, that's Hamas. It's good they die. Good the terrorists die. Well, is it good for our international presence in negotiations that we just kill people and lie to them about wanting peace? So it's very ridiculous for the abusive husband in the relationship to cry about getting hit. And like that's what we're witnessing here. It is clear to me that the best and only long-term answer is to stand with the Iranian people and demand regime change. Well, let me see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can do this. I'm trying to find the clip of Trump saying no regime change. Damn. Okay, I'm only getting modern stuff. I've seen a clip of Trump say no regime change. That's how he said it. He said no regime change. This was a campaign promise that this wouldn't happen. And it's all about the nuclear weapon. They're going to strike us with the nuclear weapon. They've had it 2 weeks away for 30 years. Bibi Netanyahu has been saying this since 1995, that they're a few months away from a nuclear weapon. So we got to go in. We got to kill a whole bunch of people. That's what it doesn't say. You notice how this doesn't say we got to kill a bunch of people. We got to bomb a bunch of people. We got to kill a lot of women and children to change things in a nation thousands of miles away. That's a non-threat to us. They're a threat to Israel. Absolutely. So just be honest about why you actually want to do it, Lindsey, because you work for them and because you want that state to exist and you believe in the apocalypse or whatever, and you want them to sacrifice the red heifer. I mean, it's just, oh, we can't allow the murderous theocracy to exist. We can't allow them to have nuclear weapons. Murderous theocracy already exists in the region and has nuclear weapons. Israel, Iran. I mean, come on, man. And it's just like, people will give you these chat GPT-ass answers about why it's a good thing, why we have to get involved. Our interests are important and they matter. And our partners in the region, it's like, shut the fuck up. You lying. You know you're lying. You're lying to curry favor, to curry interest in some realm, in some regard. You don't want to be known as someone who was brave enough to call out genocide. You don't want to be known as someone who's brave enough to be anti-war. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, another usual suspect. Wonder what's going on there. Ben Shapiro mocks the notion that President Trump is being pressured by Israel into going into war. He's being forced into it by whom precisely? I don't know, Ben. Last year when they started the 12-year war by striking Iran, I think that's what started the conflict. So literally, hypocrisy, insane lying on so many different levels. It's like the 14D chess of lying. Wow. Gonna go ahead and go to it now.
1 million Iranian rials now equal 76 cents. That's how worthless their currency is. The Iranian government has been incapable of procuring water for Tehran. Before this latest round of protests, they were talking about shifting the capital of their entire country out of Tehran because they could not get water to Tehran. So this whole notion that President Trump is being pressured by Israel into going to war for Israel, it was President Trump who made the decision to call out the Iranian regime. President Trump has been perfectly consistent for his entire political life that not only should the Iranian government not have weapons of mass destruction like nuclear facilities, but also that the Iranian government should not be supporting terrorism. And by the way, it would be a boon for the world for the Iranian regime to go away. And the people who seem to be standing somehow for the Iranian regime Do you really think that Donald Trump is going to get us involved in a land war in Iran?
I don't know, Ben. We got the largest military buildup since the invasion of Iraq. And in Iraq, we were fighting against 1.5 million soldiers. It had the third largest army in the world at the time. Iran certainly doesn't have the third largest army in the world. Why have we massed so much military power? You make the claim of, oh, we're not going to put boots on the ground. We're not going to put boots on the ground. What happens when one of those fucking aircraft carriers gets hit? You know, you want it to happen. The ground war begins, and that's the only way America could potentially be effective or win this war is through a ground invasion. And what would that mean? That would mean hundreds of thousands of Americans dying. It would be a World War II, World War III level scenario where Russia or China, countries that already have defense pacts now that have been reinforced since the 12-day war with Iran, would get involved. You are a liar who wears a tiny hat.
For hundreds of thousands of troops are sitting on the ground. Do you really think that's the thing that President Trump is going to do? Don't be stupid. But people are being deliberately stupid, and not just that, they're being cowardly. I'm seeing many of the critics of...
And so you're always a coward, you're always a pussy, you're always not tough if you don't want to go to war. And they'll call you a coward, they say you're not patriotic, you don't support your government, you're not America first, you're not MAGA if you don't support it. And to you, I say, fuck you. What war have you ever fought in, Ben Shapiro? Have you ever even killed anything? The answer to that question is no. I mean, not directly. I'm sure indirectly he's done quite a bit of damage. Not going to make any claims, pure speculation. Why is it always the weak little chicken neck nerdlet that tells you that the definition of bravery? All right, like what is going on here? Why do we listen to this man?
The Trump administration doing this routine where they say, well, Trump may not have a choice. He may not have a choice. He's being forced into it by whom? He's the most powerful man on planet Earth.
Bibi Netanyahu has visited our Congress more times than any other world leader. Specifically, this term he's visited, I think it's like 7 times or something outrageous. He gave Trump a golden pager. He said Trump could be Israel's prime minister. Trump received $250 million, if not more, from Miriam Adelson and a bunch of other allied interests because they knew that he would do this. He's bought and paid for, Ben. I don't have anything for this because it's so insane. And it's the gaslighting. That's what they do. That's the term I was looking for. It's a gaslight over and over and over again. We know what's going on. You are MIGA. You are MIGA. And you are telling us what MAGA means. Step off, Ben.
In charge of the most powerful military in the history of mankind. Forced by whom, precisely? What is he, some sort of dullard who can't make his own decisions? Who's being directed by malicious outside forces?
Yes, exactly. And look at him. You can always tell people when they try too hard with the facial expressions, they're trying to pass something off. And it's the same thing as like we watched RFK's buffering moment when he realized he had to lie on Joe Rogan. And I paused that for you when I went back and rewinded it so you could see it. Yeah, I know. I got to keep myself muted when I play a clip and then I have to come back to it. It's a big pain in the ass. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for being here tonight. What's up, T-Blet? It's good to see. You know, we got a lot of great people in here. I appreciate the loyal soldiers that have stuck around from the beginning. We've missed out a lot of like chat action tonight. I haven't seen some familiar faces. So what's up, T-Blet? How are you doing? How are you doing? More usual suspects, more Whack Pack, more Three Stooges. Mark Levin. Okay, he's got to be the worst. He's psychotic. He's deranged. He's highly motivated. He knows what he's doing. He's full on foreign agent. Pure speculation. That's what I believe. It's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it still in America. He is the worst of the worst. Do we confront the Islamist regime in Iran or wait for it to confront us? Pretending the threat doesn't exist won't make it disappear. This Islamic Nazi regime has funded terrorism, killed Americans, targeted our leaders, and relentlessly pursued nuclear capability. I take you back to 1928 in the Kellogg-Briand Pact, when world leaders tried to outlaw war with a signature. It didn't stop World War II. It didn't stop aggressors. It only lulled the West into complete... ChatGPT, really? You're using ChatGPT to write? Some of it is him. Some of it is ChatGPT. Very embarrassing. Rush Limbaugh called you the chosen one. You're not even impressive. I've seen B-list hosts that are better than you, Mark Levin. As we approach America's 250th anniversary, I'm asking the hard question. Do we learn from history and start World War III or repeat it? I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. Like he's calling them Nazis. He's comparing it to World War II, and then he's saying we need that not to happen. By invading them, we prevent that from happening. Just follow the sick psychosis of these people for a second. Just follow it with me. You are a member, a supporter, a collaborator with a terrorist state. You are a collaborator with a terrorist state that has killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people, that has turned an entire city of 2 million people into a destroyed parking lot. You are a supporter of a military where when they clear the houses and execute or move out the women and children, they put on the lingerie of the women that lived in the house. And they pose in it. The IDF, the soldiers, they do it. There's a video of Destiny talking to them about it. He says, don't film it. Don't film it. It's just, you can still do it. You can still have fun, whatever. Don't film it. Fuck you, war criminal, collaborator, whatever you want to call it. Fuck you for telling them that. These are people that sign on to the idea of using food and water and electricity as weapons openly. And they can do it because it doesn't violate international law to do it. Of course not. It would not violate international law. They're animals. They're Amalek. They're Untermenschen. They're inferior to us, the noble people that are the chosen people and are supposed to live on this land and have been promised it for 3,000 years. And then they want to tell you that because Iran makes someone wear the burqa or they bonk her on the head, that Iran is a theocracy and it's evil and it's got to be gotten rid of. And the other one that they have is great. And the one that they have nuclear weapons that they threaten to use all the time if the other nations don't obey. But the other nation can't get a nuclear weapon because it's going to destroy America with it. One of these countries has a Samson option. One of these countries doesn't. One of these countries has a Jonathan Pollard. One of these countries doesn't. One of these countries funds Al-Qaeda and ISIS. One of these countries doesn't. I can only say it so many times until I'm blue in the face. The hypocrisy is just too much to deal with. It's too much to handle. It can't be done. And that's why, like, here's the thing. Oh, my voice is gone. Here's the thing. If we were evil empire, then it would just be what it is. We'd be the stormtroopers, we'd be Darth Vader in Star Wars, and we'd be going over there and just ruining people's lives. We'd be proud of it. We act like we're the peacekeeper. We act like we're the policeman. We act like we're the man in charge who's out to, like John Wayne, like we're going to check on what's right. I don't care. I really, truly don't give a fuck about, like, what do you want to serve this administration so you can go to Mar-a-Lago and have Trump pat you on the head and give you a MAGA hat? I think it's a lot cooler to say, fuck that MIGA, fuck that MIGA. Seriously, what has he ever done for you? What has he ever done for me? But break his promises day in, day out, over and over again. I repeat until I am blue in the face. One of these nations has nuclear weapons and a doctrine to use them against other states if they don't comply. One of them doesn't. One of them funds Al-Qaeda and ISIS. One of them doesn't. One of them has infiltrated our government and controls everything. One of them doesn't. Now, you make up in your own mind which one is Israel, which one is Iran. I think the answer is pretty clear for everyone listening to me. And I just have to say it over and over and over again until I'm blue in the face. I'll say it 100 times. I'll say it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000,000 times. I'll say it 1,000,000,000 times. I will say it until I cannot speak anymore. The hypocrisy of this administration is on another level and outpaces and exceeds everything we've seen so far in modern American history. Really does. Really does. And I'm not a part of the team. I don't care about winning, whatever that means. Winning. It's a very vague term. It means that Trump goes up and is funny with Kid Rock. That's winning. We got into the glyphosate. We're getting into the war. We're getting into all of it tonight. I'm going to continue with my slideshow. This ties in perfectly. Imagine this. You're a Palestinian farmer. Then a settler appears. The land is mine now. Get out, never come back. The American taxpayer, we give money to these people. We give money to settlers to go over there. So let's watch what we pay for. Let's watch our friends. Let's watch how our friends behave. The most moral army, the most moral people in the world, the chosen people.
تعال جاي تعال جاي تعال مش خنزير خنزير تعال جاي انت روح من فوق تعال جاي انت روح من فوق تعال جاي انت روح تعال.
I don't speak desert, so I don't know what they're saying, but very clearly you've got the Israeli settler waving around the gun, threatening the people. He's seizing their land. That's what they do. They're slowly annexing the West Bank over time. They're displacing these people. They're taking what they have. They're taking their property. And that's what we support, by the way, the land of the free, the home of the brave, the place where everyone's for freedom and rights in America. And everyone deserves a chance. Our system's so incredible. Everyone's adopted it. We prop up the most evil theocracy in the region. And then we declare war on another country, or we're about to. Again, we're going to declare a war on them because they make the one where they hijab or they bonk her on the head. Lindsey Graham can't have gay sex in Iran, so we have to bomb it. Come on, man. Just sit with that for a second. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Da, 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 da. Damn, I've forgotten the national anthem. Ain't that symbolic for tonight? I know it. I'm going to look it up because I'll get flamed for that. I just need to see it one more time to get a little refresher. What? Oh, some post about the Olympics. Okay. We'll go ahead and sing it. We'll take a little break. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. I always thought it was night. Over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? My voice is gone, but little break, little intermission. Are we living up to those words? Because, see, it seems like we're the ones launching the rockets and launching the bombs and killing the people now. And these other nations are kind of like us. That's just my takeaway from that. We'll go back into the slides. Where were we? Now we're getting into the good stuff. Old JD being very diplomatic. You're never going to be elected. I hope you enjoy the thought of being president. Everyone hates you. And it not even hates you for being you. They hate you via association because you're part of the biggest, not saying the worst administration, the biggest failed administration in history. The administration that has promised the best things and has delivered the worst things based on what they promised. The administration of hypocrisy.
On that. And secondly, Ron, while you're here, can you explain to the American people why the United States would need to strike Iran to stop them from getting a nuclear weapon if the United States obliterated their enrichment program last summer?
Well, I'm not going to make any news on Iran today, Caitlin. I'll let the president make those announcements.
Look at Dr. Oz. Look at this scum. I'm smirking about it. See, I'm in the club. I know what's going on. I know about the war, the common people, the peons, the serfs. They know nothing. I'm a part of the system. He doesn't know shit about the government. He doesn't know how it works, doesn't know anything about it. Got a handpicked appointment by Trump to fake talk about health or whatever. But look at that smile. He laughing at you. He laughing at you, boy. You don't see that shit? You don't care about it, boy? Think about that. We are a completely cowed and cucked nation that we deal with these people, that we suffer this over and over and over again. And I like to point out the little things. It's not always the big things with me. It's how people act. It's how people behave. It's the glances of the eyes, the smiles, the smirks, the frowns, like Les Wexner making the face when he got asked about what he did with Epstein. I really like to point out the body language stuff, and I like to use stills. Look at what's going on here. He don't know nothing, but he's smug about the fact that he knows more than you. Think about that, America. Are you going to tolerate that? Are you?
As you know, he is sending two of his best negotiators to Geneva tomorrow in order to continue to try to strike the best deal possible for the American people. But the principle is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. If they try to rebuild their nuclear
Look at this douche lord. I don't even care about what JD's saying. He's just repeating the same bullshit ad nauseum, and they're going to invade anyway. Look at let's slow it down. We're going to slow it down.
the American people. But the principle is very simple. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapon.
Y'all noticing that little stuff? That really matters to me. Like this is your political system. You have to understand it. These people don't care about you, and they don't know what their jobs are. They're empty suits. They're all completely empty suits. They're devoid of any real agency, any real power, but they like putting on the uniform. They like doing the job, whatever that means. They like being up on the stage and pretending that they know more than you. Disgusting.
If they try to rebuild the nuclear weapon, that causes problems for us. And in fact, we've seen evidence that they have tried to do exactly that. So the president sending those negotiators to try to address that problem, as the president has said repeatedly, he wants to address that problem diplomatically, but of course the president has other options as well. And
secondly, on Iran, while you're here,
Is this a good thing or a bad thing, Jackson? What's the context to this? So sadly, I agree. Like we're probably going to hit him really hard, but it's not a tough guy thing to be pro it, man. Like it really sucks. It's really sad. You know, a lot of little kids are going to die. They're going to get burned in their homes. The wives and families of military members and executive leaders. Israel loves to assassinate them. They love to blow up whole apartment buildings. I'm sure we'll be doing the same things. It'll all be to get the supreme leader, because that's an important point. That's an important point. And that was touched on by Larry Wilkerson and Larry Johnson on Dialogue Works. What is the objective? Well, you got to know that when you go into war. Like, what is the purpose? What's the purpose of World War II? You're supposed to defeat Hitler, right? That's the stated objective. What's the purpose of going into Iran? They can't have a nuclear weapon? Well, I thought we destroyed the nuclear sites. I thought that they couldn't have one anyway. I thought it was all obliterated. Well, they can't have ballistic missiles, and they have a space program. They're going to use that to develop an ICBM, even if it's conventional. We can't allow that. We got to strike. So make that make sense. So we're going to attack them for having conventional weapons, as is their right as a state. Well, you know, we got to get them. We got to kill the supreme leader. That's going to be, give it 2 weeks after it starts. Because this ain't going to be no 12-day war. It's going to be many years of this shit. A lot of things are going to spiral out of control after we go in there, and I pray to God that Trump doesn't go in there. I want him to not go in there. I have faith, and I will eat crow, and I'll be so happy to eat crow if we turn around the ships and go home, but it's not going to happen. It's really sad. So I'm getting a little tired. I'm losing my train of thought. We will go ahead and go to the next slide now. Okay. And everyone's like me and Tim had talk about this on stream last night. We had a little debate about this last night. About the theocracy thing and about our leaders being kind of bought and paid for and controlled by these people. How can you watch what I'm about to play for you and say that we're unbiased and that we care about, we care about human morality and human life, and we care about everybody? We care about these people. We serve these people. We're the golem of this entire nation. Let's watch them. Huckabee, who Kiriakou said could be Israel's foreign minister, I tend to agree with him on that.
We spent 2 days here now, and almost everyone we've met with across the spectrum within the Jewish community, that's where we've been meeting, none of them have expressed any fear about going into bomb shelters or ballistic missiles from Iran. Every one of them universally has said to us, you must be excited to be here. You're going to have a front row seat to the miracles that are about to happen. When you speak about the resilience of the Israeli people and what they've been through for 2 years, they're not in fear. At least those who we've met with across the spectrum have all expressed this faith and almost, I don't want to describe excitement, but
I don't want to describe excitement. Well, I mean, you just said it. They're excited about it. They're excited about the prospect of another war because they feel divinely mandated by God to have it, and they deserve it, and they deserve all the land. It's all theirs. And then Huckabee sits there and takes it and just says, yes, yes, sir. Yes, massa. Whatever you say, massa. And it's disgusting. It makes me viscerally angry to watch it. And again, I have to repeat it again because we have new viewers all the time. We have new viewers all the time in the stream. What I am angry tonight about is hypocrisy. One of these nations has a nuclear program and has threatened to use them against the world. They even have something called the Samson option. If we don't all obey and comply, one nation doesn't have nukes and has a religious order against having them. They consider it a crime against God. One nation funds Al Qaeda and ISIS. One nation funds groups that fight those groups. One of these nations controls our entire governmental system and donate to the vast majority of our congressmen, senators, and just general political campaigns and control our president. Gave our president $250 million. One of these nations is so sanctioned they can't even exist on an international stage, and their people suffer, their people starve, their people can't drink water because of us. And because I've regurgitated that 4 or 5 times, probably 5 or 6 times, 6 or 7, 6-7 alert. Because I've said it over and over again on the stream, I'm a bit tired of saying it. And I've gotten less good at saying it, but the hypocrisy of all this shit cannot stand. It absolutely cannot. I'm done with it, man. I'm done with Huckabee.
They've had a front row seat to miracles for 2 years, and they feel like they're about to see the next chapter of it. And they ask you, aren't you excited to be here for it? You must feel so grateful. You're going to see the redemption come before you. Is that your experience too with the way that Israelis are approaching this potential of having to be in bomb? Even as we sit here right now, we do.
And they'll start the war, and then they'll be in videos in the bomb shelters going, we are in the bomb shelter. The Iranians are attacking us. They are trying to kill us all. We have done nothing. We are peaceful. We love our country. And it's like they're the ones that initiate it. They're the ones that have been murdering hundreds of thousands of people in the Gaza Strip. They're the ones that control our nation or threatening us with nuclear weapons all the time if we don't do what they say. And that's called the Samson option. Okay, it's an actual military doctrine that they have. They've threatened to use nuclear weapons before, like in the Yom Kippur War, if we didn't give them arms shipments. Jonathan Pollard, in jail, in prison for 30 years, pardoned by Trump, goes to Israel, kisses the tarmac, kisses the asphalt, literally bowing at Netanyahu's feet. Okay, and Netanyahu congratulates him. That same guy goes on the show and says, yeah, well, we had a jet parked with some unconventional weaponry, and we told the Americans to take their eye in the sky, and we told them to look at it, and the arms shipment started the next day, implying the use of nuclear warheads. One of these nations has begged to be signatory to arms treaties. One of these nations is not. Guess which nations those are. And it's all, we're the victims. We are so persecuted. Everyone always tried to kill us and kick us out of their countries. We just want a country of our own. It don't work anymore. It don't work anymore. You learn what was done to you. You are the new Nazis. Sorry. That's how you've behaved.
I'm sure you would have canceled if there were greater concern. That gives us a little comfort in the moment, at least. But in this country, you have to know your whereabouts all the time. Where's the closest shelter? When might a siren go off?
It's like Munchausen by proxy. It's like the mom who says the kid has cancer, shaves the kid bald, puts the kid in the wheelchair, hooks the kid up to IV, takes him to medical treatment, gives them chemo when they don't need to give them chemo. That's the best analogy I can give for the entire situation. They have Munchausen by proxy, and the population of Israel is the child, and the parasitic mother is the state itself. And of course, the child likes the parent. And that's the arrangement that you have between the people and the radical government that's in charge over there, right? 62% of them believe that Palestinians are Amalek, and they believe that biblical genocide should be brought upon them. Penn State poll. I might as well just pull that up after this.
Is that part of the consciousness you experience even as you're approaching these coming hours or days or whatever might happen next?
It's always amazing to me that Israelis don't have this fear of what could happen. They don't curl up in a fetal position and crawl up under their bed and refuse to get out and go anywhere each day. They live their lives. They live it to the fullest. I was here September of 24. I was here to tape some television footage for my television show. And I was having lunch in Tel Aviv with a friend of mine. And all of a sudden, the Iron Dome, the siren goes off, and the Iron Dome intercepts a rocket from Gaza right above our heads. You can hear it and see it. Everybody goes to the shelter. I was amazed. Nobody was rushing, nobody was pushing or shoving, but everyone methodically, no one ignored it, but everyone went down, got in the shelter, which was in the basement of the restaurant, stood there, chatted. When the all clear came, everybody just methodically got up and went back and finished their now cold lunch. And it was almost, and I was just thinking, had this happened in America? I mean, people would have been screaming and yelling and, you know, calling, I don't think I'm going to make it. And all of these moments, it would have been totally different. It is amazing to see, again, that goes to the resilience of the people here. I won't say that I'm excited about the whole process. I told the president when I was back with he and the prime minister for the.
I won't say I'm excited about the whole the whole thing, whatever the quote is. I'm paraphrasing, and then everyone begins to laugh. I'm tired of it, man. Tired of the arrogance of these people, arrogance of people like this. Tired of it. We're Americans. We're the new Rome. We don't have to put up with these people.
Meetings 2 weeks ago, I said, you know, Mr. President, I hope that some peace agreement can be made. I'm not optimistic that it can or will, but I would love to see that happen simply because you're going to be 6,000 miles from this and I'll be in the bullseye. So Abraham Lincoln once said when he was run out of town on a rail, if it weren't for the honor of it, I'd just soon pass. And I think to a large degree, you know, it's not something I would welcome, look forward to, but if it happens, we're here for the.
Yeah, if World War III happens, it happens. And if you instigate it, we don't care. We serve you. Please give me more money. Please give me more power and influence. I work for you. Yes, sir, massa. That's what he says to him behind the scenes. Now, we can't forget about our resident dictator over in Eastern Europe. We cannot forget about Zelensky. I want nuclear weapon too. Israel gets nuclear weapon. They get to lie about it. It's whatever. I also work for, you know, Western deep state and other things like this. They won't give me nuclear weapon. What is this? Now, I will do something a little unorthodox. I will give them a little bit of credit where credit is due. Ukraine's strongest argument for existence as a state is the fact that they gave up their nuclear weapons post 1991. Okay? They gave up their nuclear weapons. They also promised to be neutral, promised they've broken, so you could talk about that. They gave up their nuclear weapons in order to get security guarantees from the West and the East. So when they talk about nukes, there is a little bit of historical context that you have to give. They did have nuclear weapons at one time. They had a lot of nuclear weapons at one time. That is a legit grievance that the government can point out, like, hey, if we had those, that this wouldn't have happened. Now, they were ethnically cleansing the Donbass region. They were bombing those people since 2014. That's why the Russians came in. That's not talked about. That's not discussed. But as far as the territorial integrity of the nation, they did give up their nuclear weapons. But I since the time I was comedian on stage and I do little dance and I play the piano with my penis, with my little willy, my ding dong, I have always thought about what if United States give me nuclear weapon. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't my boyfriend be very impressed by my nuclear weapon? I mean, I just have fun with the voices, okay? I have fun with Zelensky. Let's go ahead and watch the clip. I hate him, by the way. I really hate Zelensky. I respect Netanyahu a lot more than Zelensky. More evil, but more competent.
The Kremlin is claiming that Ukraine.
I hate British people. I'm sorry. If you're an English person that watches the show, much respect to you. You're our cousins from across the pond. I come from over there. It is what it is. I'm going to sound 20 IQ points smarter than I actually am in order to give propaganda to the world and do this propaganda interview. Thank you very much. I sound like Eastern European pimp, gay Eastern European pimp. So you cover up for it a lot with your nice accent. Stupid Americans will not be able to understand.
Is trying to get a nuclear weapon via Britain and France. Is that the case?
With pleasure.
Are you?
But I didn't have propositions. But with pleasure. Yeah, Russians have to know if somebody will.
So we can put that to bed. That's not happening at all.
No, it's not happening.
Well, he's right about it not happening, but he goes, with pleasure, I want nuke. Oh, yes, nuclear weapon. I need it to be able to come at night. My wife, she said, you will find me attractive? I say, first of all, you're not a man, so no, unfortunately, I don't find you attractive. But, maybe if you dressed up in giant nuclear weapon costume, maybe I would find you attractive and I would be able to inseminate you finally. Okay, I'm being gross. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm having fun, dude. I love going live. Thank you all for the opportunity to get to do this for you guys. I'm glad that some people enjoy my schizophrenia. I'm glad some people enjoy my impressions. Okay, it's always an honor to get to be with you guys. Always is, no matter what the show is.
Okay.
And you see, and this is why I like the body language stuff. You see that last little moment there. Look at the lack of confidence. Look at he knows he's fucked. This is what someone looks like that knows they're fucked. Look, he's faking excitement, happiness, humor here. He knows he's boned.
It's not happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
The look down, the panning around looking for approval, the gulp, the swallow, the fool sip as it's called. If you ever see somebody, Red Bar coined this, I didn't come up with it. Maybe someone else came up with it before him. You ever see somebody with a drink and they're getting absolutely destroyed, or they're just having a hard time with any line of questioning? The common move, you cover your mouth. You do this. You go. And then it looks like a long sip, but you're only taking a little sip. That's called the fool sip. It's a mid-level technique. It's easily recognizable. He just did it without the cup. But very interesting. Oh, yes, you'll dress up as nuclear weapon for me, and I will pretend that I run country when CIA tell me everything to do. I am Zelensky. I play the piano with my pee-pee. Yes, I do. Okay, I'll stop being gross. More from resident Humpty Dumpty, Mark Levin. No Munich agreements. I say again, get her money. More garbage. The Tucker breakdown on what's going on. I really agree with this. I showed this to Tim last night. I'm going to go ahead and play this in its entirety without pausing it.
Everybody knows the only reason we're having this war is because Israel wants it. This is their last chance, they believe. This presidency is the last presidency where they're going to have unequivocal bipartisan support. Period. You can't primary every Thomas Massey, and there's a whole army of them coming at some point because everyone can see what's going on. And you could shut down X, and you can shut down the internet. You can be like Great Britain and arrest people who protest Israel, but attitudes are not going to revert to what they were 5 years ago. Sorry. And they know this. So this is their last chance. What's so amazing is that Israel, which at least is acting in what it perceives to be its own national interest, is joined by its shills in the United States, of course. But really, its only other ally in this is the American news media, whose job it is to tell you the truth and inform you as to what's happening, to tell you, hey, wake up.
Okay, I did see this. I do better Bill Clinton than he does. Let me tell you right now, my voice is a little messed up, so I'm not as good at doing it as I usually am. He gets this part of the voice right, where he's kind of talking from the throat. But to do the real Bill, you got to really roll your vowels. You got to really focus on the O's and the W's. That's how Hillary, please help. Hillary, please help. They caught me barbecuing a baby. I got to go tell the truth about it in Congress. I want to do the Bill Clinton impression with the actual good Bill Clinton voice at the InfoWars office. How much of an impact did having AJ as a father have on your skills as an impersonator? Well, I mean, he showed me it was possible to do other voices, right? And like, it's just kind of a thing as to where, like, when you're doing impressions, you kind of play with them and you have fun with them, and eventually you develop them into real, like, kind of characters, right? And that way, it's very impromptu and organic, and it comes off as legit because you know how the person sounds because you've practiced doing their voice over and over again. The reason why he's good at doing impressions is because he does impressions all the time. So I do impressions all the time. It makes me decent at doing impressions. I don't want to say I'm good at doing impressions. I don't want to say I'm really good at doing anything because I know that I know nothing. Socrates, and also just being aware of my limitations, like being a Christian and whatnot. I don't want to say I'm the best at doing anything or good at doing anything. My impressions are pretty solid. So thank you for that. I got a few good ones. I got a few good ones. Hillary, please help. Hillary, please help. Mary Madelson, she got the strap on again. Hillary, please help. Oh no, Hillary got one too. Having fun tonight. But yeah, the points that Tucker makes, like, we all know why we're going to war. We know who it's at the behest of. We know it's not about our national security. And then we got Levin, kind of got angel on the shoulder, devil on the shoulder. And which one Trump is listening to? The devil, Mark Levin. Mark R. Levin, Mark Retard Levin, that's what the R stands for. Just one man's opinion, but I believe Tucker Carlson is more dangerous than the demagogues of the past. In my view, he's using modern media to spread narratives that attack Jews, Christians, and President Trump's foreign policy, while echoing the talks of hostile regimes. America is the greatest nation on earth. You sure about that? Do you believe that? I thought Israel is the greatest nation on earth. That's what you've told us. We want to go. We're supposed to allow them to go to nuclear war, according to you. 2 years ago, you went on Fox News, Fox Friends in the Morning, and you thought it was a great thing that they would launch nukes if someone got kidnapped. Evil demon. We'll play the evil demon. Give me a second. I got to cue him up. Demon Hell Pit Dorito Dung Man Mark Levin.
I would argue that Tucker Carlson is 100 times worse than Father Coughlin. 100 times worse. He's used all the modern techniques of communication, of travel, of the ability to spread thoughts and comments worldwide. In a nanosecond, he's used it all strategically to trash Jews, to trash Christians, and I would argue to trash President Trump.
If someone gives you a little pushback on your ethno state where you murder people, you genocide people, you declare wars, you start wars, you bomb people, you spy on people, you blow up people's little kids with pagers, and then Tucker's the bad guy. Tucker's the bad guy because he traveled to the Middle East. Tucker's the bad guy because he talks on social media about the crimes the nation you support, not America, the other one. He talks about their crimes, so you can't abide that. I know I'm ugly. I know I ain't the most attractive person in the world. Fetid. Get that up. Fetid. F-E-T-I-D. That's what we're looking at here. Fetid corpse.
President Trump's foreign policy, because that's what he's really attacking. President Trump's foreign policy, the Jewish people, Christian people, and it just so happens he's promoting the best interests and propaganda of Qatar.
So is it propaganda when Netanyahu, since 30 years ago, goes to Congress, goes to the UN, and tries to get other nations to attack Iran or to give them military resources so that they themselves can attack Iran because they are about to have a nuclear weapon? They are 2 weeks away. They are a few months away from having the material to make the bomb. And saying that now, oh, it's all scary. People get upset about it. You've been saying it for 30 years. So when has it ever been true? And I can't deal with the hypocrisy. Again, I've said it until I'm blue in the face. I'll say it again because I need to practice over and over and over again. You have to be able to beat these people in argument. Which ethno-state are we supposed to support in the region? Are we supposed to support the one that he likes, that has nuclear weapons, that has a Samson option where they will strike the other countries if they don't obey, if they believe their interests are threatened? Are we supposed to support the nation that's genocided over 6 figures worth of people, according to the Lancet study? And I think that's a low estimate. Are we supposed to support the nation that has occupied our government, that pays off 95% of our elected officials? Or are we supposed to support the region or the country in the region that fights against Al-Qaeda and ISIS that Israel fund, that fights against Israel's total dominance over the Levant, that makes the one wear the hijab or bonks him on the head? That has a fatwa, a religious order. It's a crime against God for the Iranians to get a nuclear weapon. They don't have a nuke. Israel has a nuke. They don't commit genocide. Israel's committed genocide. They don't control our government. Israel controls our government. Explain it to me. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Well, they're our friend, and Iran is our enemy, and we want oil, so we back Israel. You are a retard. That's not an argument. That's not they're our ally, they're our friend. When an ally instigates, when an ally starts a war, you're not mandated to back them. That's how it works. It's international law. I rest my case. the raped.
Saudi Arabia, Iran, the Muslim Brotherhood, and their ilk. Now, if you like this little clip that you just saw,
If you like this little clip you just saw, do not even visit his YouTube to give him a dislike. Do not even give him a hate comment. Do not give him the engagement. In 10 years, the boomers will all be dead, and he won't have a single subscriber left living anymore. Let's not feed this monster. More cuteness. More cuteness from Levin. I say, you are a bastard. He thinks he's being cute. Yeah, exactly. It's all hypocrisy. It's all irony. It's the liberty voice. Come on, man. And that's like with all the patriot branding, it really makes me sick now. Got to be honest. Oh no, I forgot I even had this in here. What is he doing in here? I forgot about this. It's just fuck. How much more can I take? How many times can I regurgitate the same argument over and over and over again about why these people are so evil? Oh my gosh. I'm starting to get, I got to get to that 3-hour mark. I got to be a pro host. I mean, it's just, people are still pumping up Bongino and doing aura farming posts of him on Twitter. Who is this for? A 55-year-old man who's like a job site instructor that sits in the climate-controlled F-250 all day and like loves Trump for no reason and doesn't even know the 3 branches of government? This just as bad as libtards, man, if you buy into this. Dan Bongino from Jake, whoever the fuck Jake is. Let's see how many followers he's got. From Grifter, Jake can too. Dan Bongino is making a distinction. The movement needs to hear. Tell me about what the movement is. The movement's ending the fucking wars, you faggot. Do you understand that? Are you aware of it? The movement, MAGA, MIGA. These are MIGAs. These are MIGA. We were MAGA. We still are MAGA. We still are America first. It doesn't matter that they've perverted it. That's what we are. That's who these people are. These are MIGA, MIGA. Trump even said it himself. He said, make Iran great again. We all know what he meant. Make Israel great again. MIGA, MIGA, real MIGA roll call. That's what we got here right now. Criticize Israel, free speech. Criticize Netanyahu, go ahead. But anti-Semitism is something else entirely. And right now, the liberal media is cheering it on inside the movement. Bongino's warning is blunt. This only ends in death and destruction. A healthy, civilized society or death and destruction. See the fucking threat there? They're threatening us. They're saying, hey, there's a civil society where we're the controllers, we're on top, where we control everything, and you serve us, and that's fine. We'll let you have some money. You know, you'll be a good pet for us. You'll be a good pet golem. But you don't accept that, you'll get death and destruction. Fuck you, Dan. Fuck you, bitch. Bitch-ass Bongino. Why? I thought we were all throwing popcorn in the arena. That's what media was. And I was the real guy. I was sparring. I was throwing the elbows, throwing the jab, throwing the cross, sparring in the arena. I thought we were all throwing popcorn in the arena, Dan. Why are you talking into a microphone? Shouldn't you talk into, I can't say that. That'll get me in trouble. That will get me in trouble. Where my mind just went will get me in trouble. I'll just play the clip. I get incensed about it. It's too much for this guy to be threatening us, man. It's too much. He wasn't even brave enough when he got blackmailed to come out with it. That's all you got to do to win. It's insane.
We have to excise this cancer from our movement right now. It's our movement, okay? It's ours. We built it. Some of us ran for office on it. We knocked on doors for it. We donated to it. We gave speeches for it. We showed up at events. We showed up at rallies. We showed up at every single parade possible. I'm trying to get people to support this cause of freedom and liberty. We are in a really dangerous spot.
Okay, what does that mean? What does freedom and liberty mean? Whatever we say it means, bombing Iran, bombing fishing boats in Venezuela, cutting the corporate tax rate, sending Argentinian beef into our country and allowing the meatpacking industry to rape our people here? Putting the glyphosate in all the food and saying it's both essential and that we don't even use it and that it's not poisonous, shut up, racist? Tell me about this liberty and freedom platform. Is this like, I've heard about these creatures. Is it like a unicorn where it's a horse, but it has a horn and it's magic and it can fly and it has magical properties and it's a mythical creature? Is it like a griffin, like the thing that has an eagle face, but kind of like a lion's body and eagle wings and flies around with Harry Potter? Where is that located exactly? Because I heard about these things. I didn't know they were real. You're telling me they're real? I'm sorry for the juvenile level analogies and the low quality tonight. How many times must we suffer this shit? How many times must we put up with it? How many times will they sell us liberty, freedom, and peace? How many times will they teach us that we don't know what these words mean? I just over and over and over again with the hypocrisy, with the bullshit. And it's the commodification of all of it. It's the buy. And here's the thing. People hear me saying this and they'll say, well, you all sell t-shirts. InfoWars will sell t-shirts. We've been doing it since the 2000s. Okay. There's legitimacy. There's inherited legitimacy. We've been doing it when other people weren't, when it was really hard to do it. Everyone now that has ridden the Trump wave that came in after Trump, everyone that's grifting off of this image, that's perverting it and getting rid of it. I used to love wearing 1776 and other such shirts. I hardly do anymore, you know, and it's not because I don't believe in the message, which I do 100%. I still love my InfoWars shirts and I wear a lot of them. But a lot of the ones that look kind of soldiery, I don't want that image. I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to be a douchebag. You know, maybe I am a douchebag. It is what it is. But he wants to sell you an image. He probably, I don't know what sponsors he has. Patriot Mobile. See, if you subscribe to Dan Bongino's phone service, if you give him the money, then you're a patriot because you're subscribed to Patriot Mobile. If you buy Dan Bongino's Patriot t-shirt, you're a patriot because it says so on the t-shirt. When did these things become so fucking cheap, man? People hated us growing up. People thought that I was scum. And now these people get to ride the new normie wave and they get to sell it. They get to use the slogans and the branding and the motivation behind it for the exact opposite purposes of which it was intended. I mean, that's what he is by doing his fake ass show. That's literally exactly what he's doing. He's cheapening an image and presenting it to you.
Never in my 10 plus years now doing this, I've seen it bad, but I've never seen it this bad. This portion of people who claim to be part of our movement and our cause, who think it's
no definition. It's very common. Our movement, our cause, the people. Oh, yes, the people. Oh, yes, Mr. Bongino.
edgy or cool to talk about how much they hate the Jews. And just so we're crystal clear, so you can shut the f up right now.
Oh, he said a curse word. He's so tough. He said, shut the fuck up, Mr. Bongino. He's a real man. Fuck you, Dan. Why'd you leave? Why'd you leave your post? Why'd you leave your job? It's everything you ever wanted. I watched you when I was a little kid. I watched you when I was 10 years old. I saw you on the show in 2012. You're my hero. What happened, Mr. Bongino? Even if you did something bad, can't you just come out and say it and be a hero? Oh, no, you got to go back to your show. You got to go back to the grift. I mean, if they were going to kill you tomorrow, but you're able to get on your phone, live stream, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is a situation. They've got me blackmailed. It's over. I tried to expose corruption. I found the real Epstein list. They're going to kill my entire family. You go live. They shoot you in the head. Whatever happens, you're the new George Washington. We build 1 million statues of you. Can't even do it. Can't even make the simple decision to do it. Has to come back to the arena that he made fun of, that he said wasn't legitimate. He called you all popcorn throwers, and now he's throwing the popcorn. But he said, oh, shut the fuck up, boss. Real. It's performative. When I curse, it's not performative because I'm bad and I curse like a sailor, and I can't help it. And I want to not do it when I curse. When he does it, I can't prove a point any other way. I can't use logic. I can't use 4-letter words. It's too complicated for me to understand. Instead, I just say, shut the fuck up. I'm walking here. I'm that much, you know. Exactly, Nimrod Pod. The Dan Bongino show is state propaganda. Yes, absolutely state propaganda. Probably even more than Mark Levin's show. Nobody is watching it. Not even the Israeli-backed social media algorithm can maintain its relevance. Yeah, I mean, like, I think I'm about 6 months to a year out of getting better views than the Bongino show, one of the top shows in 2024 and leading up to that. Huge show, massive platform. And that goes to show how powerful media is and why you shouldn't give up your platform to be a part of a broken system. But I just, It's just like with RFK. He was a team player. He's a Secret Service guy. He wanted to be on that team so fucking bad. He had to do it.
About this bullshit. I am not talking about foreign affairs or a foreign government, the government of Israel. You don't like Netanyahu? That is absolutely your right. Make the case, bro. I'm also not talking about censorship. You want to go out there and talk about how much you hate people who are, do your thing as long as you're not breaking the law. What I'm talking about are people who are trying to infiltrate our movement and destroy us. And the lib media is gleefully playing along, who every single thing has become about the Jews, not Israel. Do you understand these people are fucking insane? Do you know where this goes? Do you know where this has always gone? And it is death and destruction. And when you have a choice between civilized man and the demon savage.
All right, we'll go back to it because he's saying important things. Do you like the marionette dance? How I'm dancing like a puppet on its strings, like Mr. Bongino? Maybe I can hold my eyes open too and do it like this. That's the Bongino dance. It's the marionette puppet dance, okay? He's getting on something key here. We'll talk about it. It's sad to think that I used to listen to that clown like you're in. Don't be sad about it. He was saying the right things. And that's the thing you got to understand about this administration is we don't hate on this administration from the perspective of a libtard. We're like, Trump's an evil Russian agent. He's been trying to love Putin for years, and we just got to get rid of him, got to get another Democrat back. That's not why we hate Trump now. We hate Trump, dislike whatever you want to say. I'll just say, hey, I don't care. I'm so mad at this administration because they promised to do all of the correct things. They laid out a plan of what they would do and said it was awesome because it was awesome. And then they did the exact opposite of it. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, Epstein file. I've seen the file. I had the file on my desk. I've seen the videos of thousands of children. It's horrible. It's the worst stuff imaginable. I've seen the file. He killed himself. There were no files on my desk. What are you talking about? Kash Patel. RFK, I won a $270 million lawsuit against glyphosate, proved that it was carcinogenic and caused cancer. And now, because of playing for the team, I have to endorse glyphosate being a matter of national security. And all my plans go out the window. Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to go in there and reform the intelligence community. I'm going to go in there and fix things. I'm anti-interventionist. No war, no war, no war. Sits like a bitch. And then Ratcliffe, the CIA director, he's the one that briefs Trump. Keep in mind, as DNI, her job is to collect all intel from all intelligence agencies and to be Trump's briefer. She doesn't even do her job. And I can keep on going down. Howard Lutnick, Epstein's best friend. Oh, like me and here's the thing. Me and my wife, we went into Epstein's place and we saw a massage table. And I said, what kind of guy gets a massage every day? And Epstein says, the right kind of massage. And it kind of looks creepy. So I look at my wife and she looks at me and I say, I'm sorry, we have to go. I never talked to that evil Jeffrey Epstein or creepy Jeffrey Epstein after that. In photos on the island, bringing his children to the island. I'm not even making a PDF file accusation. That's how tight they were. Oh, shit. Scott Bessent, George Soros' former right-hand man, helped George Soros crash the British pound. Do we need to do more? Do we need to go down the list even more? This is what you get. You know, I told him to go back to Africa and he blocked me. Which I thought was pretty funny. Come on, brother. Come on, man. There's no way out of this one. You're cooked. You're done. Put some seasoning on it. Add the vinaigrette. It's over. You've been marinated.
The media is gleefully playing along, who every single thing has become about the Jews, not Israel. Do you understand these people are insane? Do you know where this goes? Do you know where this has always gone? And it is death and destruction. And when you have a choice between civilized man and the demon savages, there's only one choice, man.
That's right. Well, they're not human. They're the Untermenschen. They're the inferior race. We get to bomb them. We get to kill them. Anyone who supports their survival and doesn't support our evil theocracy, they're also Untermenschen. They're also to be gotten rid of. Ain't it interesting how that works? Got my feed. Okay, give me 1 second, guys, because there are a couple things I bookmarked. I'll go to the things I bookmarked. How are we doing tonight? I'm about to wrap up the stream. The Due Dissidents guys said they'd raid me. I don't know if I just suck and I got raided, and then the people were like, "Well, we're not going to watch him." They're probably still live though. They stay live till late, and I wanted those viewers. I really wanted the new viewers. Damn it. Well, I'm a little tired. Let me see where they're at. All right, we've officially reached the hanging out portion of the show. I have, okay, we'll use this as a timer. I got one last, like the ghoul in Fallout, he drinks the vial so he doesn't go, bleh. I have one last nicotine pouch. Uh-oh, almost dropped it. Let's see where that takes us. Sorry, I'm a moron. Okay, so put up more stuff here now. I think I already have it. Oh, fuck. Oh, sorry. It sucks because like you have to look at bookmarks, then you have to copy and paste the link for bookmarks, so you're able to quickly pull it up again. I can just stay in the bookmarks tab. That's all I have to do. All I got to do is stay in the bookmarks tab. Thanks. I'll be here for a little bit. We got a few more things to cover. So tonight we reached an agreement with the Department of War to deploy our models in their classified work. This is Sam Altman of OpenAI, ChatGPT. In all of our interactions, the Department of War displayed a deep respect for safety and a desire to partner to achieve the best possible outcome. AI safety, blah, 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 blah. Okay. There's more on that, and I want to cover that story. I'll probably cover that story tomorrow. I'm just a little out of gas, and for the context switching, it's a bit too much to get into. Of course, Claude refused to comply with mass surveillance and killing demands from the Department of War, and that's why they were rejected and deemed a threat to the states, because they didn't want to be a part of like mass surveillance and murder. But we'll get into that later. I'm not uninformed on that topic. I just want I'm a little gassed out, but I can stay on topic. I got some energy. Last little bit of energon.
So with tensions rising in Iran, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham says he is suspicious that the Ayatollah will actually keep his word, so am I, while also cautioning against believing anything that comes out of Oman. He's right about that. And the truth is, you can't trust Iran or Oman. We got a last-minute deal.
This is what my grandparents watch. They watch Hannity. And you just think about that. Think about all the boomers, man. Iran, they do want peace. They don't want war. They have no interest in it. They don't want it to go down. They got struck first by Israel last year. They wanted to enter into negotiations. We scammed them, then we attacked too. What are you going to do? What are you going to say? You're relying on people's ignorance to push this damn fucking narrative, man. Now I don't want to curse because I think about Dan Bongino. Maybe that's how I do it. I watch Dan Bongino say the F word, then I don't want to say the F word anymore.
The president's pressure worked. You can never trust these Iranian mullahs. They will lie. They will never keep their word. So with tensions rising.
Okay. Cool stuff I bookmarked. Yeah, the Department of War doesn't do mass surveillance. This is what I was looking for. This is from Undersecretary of War Emil whatever. Anthropic is lying. The Department of War doesn't do mass surveillance. As that is already illegal. What we were talking about is allowing our warfighters to use AI without having to call for permission to shoot down an enemy drone swarm that would kill Americans. Readers added context. Thank God for community notes. There are clauses in Department of War's existing contract with Anthropic that prevent Claude from being used for autonomous weaponry and mass surveillance of Americans. Department of War is demanding the removal of these restrictions. Notice how they ain't telling you that. And that's how they paint the narrative. Of course, Snowden was the one who came out with all of it. We're all aware of who Snowden is. Yeah, boomers are going to be remembered as the most destructive generation. Yeah, man. It's It's really, really bad what they've done and what's happened to them, what's happened to the country by nature of what they've been a part of. Basically grew up in Elysium, grew up in heaven world where the American dollar was literally like gold. And like you could fall over backwards and be successful. And look at us, we have to swim in their wake. Isn't that nice? Oh, I wanted to get to this. You know, I'll close out on this because it ties in everything we've talked about tonight together. RFK Jr. and Joe Rogan say Europe has become like a dictatorship with censorship. Then you look at what's happening in England now. People are going to jail for Twitter posts. 12,000 last year. It's just a dictatorship. It's the Soviet system. Do I have the other post that ties in with it perfectly? Do I have it? Do I have it? Do I have it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, let's close out with this Harrison clip. We're going to close out with it. I'm not even going to not going to give commentary after. We'll let Harrison handle it. We're going to tune out after this. Let's watch this clip together. Let's end the show.
Jews are developing a police state in Florida. HB 945 creates a, quote, counterintelligence unit to spy on and arrest you for, quote, views or opinions they deem anti-Semitic. This is from the Patriotic Blonde at I'm Breck Warsham. This is the bill, section 943.0316, Florida statutes, created to read this. On subsection 2, they say, as used in this section, the term advisory intelligence entity includes, but is not limited to, any neutral foreign, multinational, friendly competitor, opponent, adversary, or recognized enemy of non-government or non-governmental organizations, companies, businesses, corporations, consortiums, groups, agency, cell, terrorist, insurgent, guerrilla, entity, or
Yo, Bill Clinton an hour ago gave a statement on his. I gave a statement on my deposition with the House Oversight Committee. I want to go ahead and get this ready. We're going to see just how good Bill Clinton is. I'm going to play this.
I just finished testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee.
I just finished testifying at the House Oversight Committee. He's gotten with her now. His voice has changed. Like old Bill. I sound like the old Bill Clinton.
I did it for two reasons. First, I love my country, including our Constitution. And America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents, and that we should all live under the same set of rules. This kind of democracy requires every person to play their part. And I hope that by being here today, we can bring ourselves just a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree civilly and we can search for truth and justice, and that it outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle. The second reason I was there is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not just justice, but healing.
This is quite rich coming from him, but this is what you create, Trump, when you don't respond, when you don't release the files, when you become complicit in it, when you're probably in there, definitely in there. You give this guy juice. You give this guy power. It's like giving this guy an infusion of pure energy.
They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light.
My brief acquaintance with Jeffrey Epstein, that's why there's all those photos of me in the files. It's why, Epstein in his house, he had a photo of me, not a photo of me, a picture of me painted where I was wearing a blue dress and in red heels and I was sitting on a chair with my legs propped up. Sure, man. Cool story, bro.
And though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication with what was truly going on, I offered the little I do know in the hopes that it would help prevent anything like this from ever happening again. I also have to say something personal. Republicans made Hillary testify yesterday, and she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
Republicans made Hillary testify yesterday, and she beat me with a cane for 4 hours because I said, Hillary. we got to testify. We got to do something. We got to talk about the babies that we ate. And she hit me with the cane. She said, no, Bill, you do that. I'm a call Lucifer himself personally. I've got his phone number. You're going to hell. The deal was we got to live for another 30 years and be demonic vampire, 80-year-old, 90-year-old, 100-year-old people.
Nothing. She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his property.
Not true. He lied. If he said that before Congress, he lied to Congress. She went to Zorro Ranch twice, the human cloning facility.
So whether 10 people or 10,000 people were subpoenaed, including her, was simply not right. So here's what I told the committee. First, I had no idea of the crimes Epstein was committing. No matter how many photos they show of me, I have two things that at the end of the day matter far more than any interpretation of 20-year-old photos. I know what I saw, and more importantly, what I didn't see. And I know what I did, and more importantly, what I didn't do. I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic violence, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself and led the call for justice for his crimes, not the sweetheart deal we got. But even with 20/20 hindsight, I saw nothing that ever gave me real pause. We're only here today because Epstein hid it from everyone so well for so long. And by the time it came to light with his 2008 guilty plea, I had long stopped associating with him. No. My testimony today is released. I hope it will motivate everyone to go in front of Congress to say what they know. I hope it will motivate the Justice Department to finally release all the files and to ensure that this never happens again. The survivors deserve that.
Okay. All right. Well, that concludes our stream for tonight. That's breaking. That broke an hour ago. Me and Tim will probably discuss that on Sunday, along with a whole host of other issues. I want to talk about ag. I want to talk about the cattle ranching industry in America, the meatpacking industry. Maybe we can do kind of a hybrid deep dive on Sunday on that, because there really is a lot to be upset with RFK over. But yeah. And I really hope we don't go to war this weekend. I hope that, the little children in Iran and little children in Israel, little children in Palestine, everywhere, in Ukraine, in Venezuela, in America, in Mexico, all across the world, every country, every place where people live, every single man, woman, and child. I hope that we're all living, that we're all smiling, that we're all spending time with our family, that we're thinking about God. I hope no one has to die. But that is not the world that we live in. And shame on me for being unrealistic and, wanting people to be happy, I guess. I guess that makes me a pussy. But you know what? I'm happy to be a hippie. I'm happy to be a softie. I'm happy to care about people, because when you get to the point to where you don't care about people, then you can't call yourself human anymore. So I got a lot of problems. I got a lot of flaws. I do care about people. And I say that before God right here. And I say that right before the audience. Like I care about humanity. I care about little kids. I care about men, women, and children being able to have families and have lives and have friends. And it sounds stupid, sounds consumerist, whatever. I think you should be able to go to the gas station, be able to afford food, be able to chop it up with some people, just hang out and not have to deal with racial hatred, not have to deal with sexism, not have to deal with animosity, and not have to deal with pro-war, pro-genocide talk. Maybe that's too much to ask for, but that's what I care about. That's why I do the show. That's why I voice these opinions. Of course, I'm a supplement guy. I'm an e-commerce guy. I'm a fulfillment guy. I do shipping. I do white labeling. I do all of it. I'm a businessman. I'm working for 5 years. Got employees. I do the show because I can't not do the show. You have to talk about this stuff. So thank you all for being here with me tonight. God bless you. I love you. Surprise live stream when the war starts. See y'all later tonight. Yeah, I probably just jinxed it. Well, thank you all for being here tonight, man. I appreciate all of y'all. Hope it was a good stream. Peace.
Modern life has left us out of balance. Long ago it was once said, certain remedies could grant a man the vitality of a horse. For over 6,000 years, these natural remedies have been harvested and tested by generations. Why create complex formulas when nature's roots are still in our hands? Try Primal Core, ancient remedies for modern life.